Looking live at the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, where race number 2 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes green. A little less than an hour from now, the cars beginning to form on the grid. The drivers will begin to be being introduced to the fans momentarily, and we're getting set up for some great NASCAR action at very high speeds. Qualifying for this race held late this morning local time. Carl Edwards fired off a lap 0.2 of a second quicker than Kyle Busch. That's a lot in racing terms. Then the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series took to the speedway. They ran a 200-miler. Kyle Busch in that 51 truck dominated, leading 95 of the 100 laps, which sets the stage for our Nationwide Series race now. Vince Welch with our pole sitter Carl Edwards moments ago.
Not only a pole qualifying run, but a convincing one at that, almost 0.2 of a quicker second quicker than Kyle Busch. Is that qualifying run indicative of how good a race car you have?
I hope so, Vince. You know, I think that this Scotts Fusion is real fast, but you know, these races at this track, you know, we get long runs. The balance of the car, you know, mechanically and aero-wise is so important, and you really don't know. You know, the last time we were here, I chased Kyle around, and that car was, you know, unbeatable. And I hope our Scotts Fusion is that good this time. But the qualifying was great, practice was great, and I hope the race goes as well.
And the position on the track much more important than a week ago at Daytona.
Yeah, the position is important. You can pass really well here, pass easily if your car is good. But man, I'll take that first pit stall and starting on the pole any day. This is cool.
Carl Edwards, he'll start from the point today.
All right, Vince, thanks. So you got Carl Edwards on the pole, Kyle Busch, who's already won a race today, starting outside of the front row with him for this race. This is shaping up to be a fabulous duel.
Absolutely, and you've got two of the best guys in racing, period, going to go head-to-head. This is going to be an outstanding race. I look for these guys to be up front all day battling.
I tell you what, in practice, both their cars really handled strong, and they looked on top of their game. And Carl Edwards, I tell you what, he knows how to get around the racetrack. The problem is, Kyle Busch does too.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup between those two. Now, we'll talk more about today's race in just a little while. First, need some clean up some unfinished business from the Daytona race a week ago. The controversial moment of that event was a big wreck 3/4 of the way through, begun with contact between Jason Leffler in the 38 and Stephen Wallace in the 66. Contact that got Leffler penalized 5 laps for rough driving. A week later, both drivers discuss it with Dave Burns side by side.
You may be surprised to see these two this close, this soon after Daytona, but we've asked Jason Leffler and Steve Wallace to join us here and talk about last week's wreck at the big track. Jason, we're going to have you describe what happened looking at that monitor at Daytona.
Sure. I was, you can see me up on the inside of the 66 there. I was just trying to get in line, and Steven was just minding his own business and got turned and wrecked.
I don't know. I guess the little guy couldn't steer the steering wheel. It's just, you know, I didn't really hate it for all our U.S. Fidelis guys on my team. You know, we had a really, really fast race car. It's just a shame, you know. I never had a problem with Jason. I don't know what happened. I just felt like I was on the top side, just had my wheels straight, you know, just to draft it up top, and I got hooked in the left rear quarter panel.
So our cameras leave. You guys go back to the motor coach lot, and there's this huge fight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one. Cops got involved, the whole deal. We both went to jail over it. No, but I'm just kidding. It was just it's just a tough deal, you know.
Joke.
Jason Leffler still sitting there, got to serve a 5-lap penalty.
Now, he spent 5 laps sitting on pit road for that aggressive driving, as NASCAR called it. You think that was the right call?
I think it's a 50-50 deal. I think if he did it to me, he'd say, yeah, but if I did it to him, he'd say, yeah, too.
They must have obviously thought it was really intentional, but it was far from intentional, you know.
We saw you pleading your case with NASCAR. What did you say to them, and what did they say to you?
I can't repeat it.
We race around each other really well and get along well, and I felt really bad about crashing him. And I think I came by the 1 lap later, and he threw something at me. I don't know what it was.
Water bottle, the door.
I was glad to see that thing come flying, because, you know, I mean, Daytona, first thing when you see a wreck or you cause a wreck, you're like, oh, everybody's all right, and they were. So just one of those deals we're here in California.
Well, these guys are super competitive. They've got 34 more races, and I'm assuming at that time, somewhere in there, they'll be side by side again.
Now, that Saturday penalty to Jason Leffler, together with this wreck in Sunday's Daytona 500 between Brian Vickers in the 83 and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, created the week's most reacted to story in racing. NASCAR ruled Leffler's contact with Wallace was intentional, while Earnhardt's with Vickers was not, and Jr. was not penalized. Certainly the email bag blew up on this one for much of the week. Thoughts on the decision to penalize one and not the other, and what NASCAR officials have said about this incident?
Well, from NASCAR's point of view, looking at that race when the 66 got turned by the 38, it looked intentional. So there has to be justification, and there was. With that wreck with Junior and Brian Vickers, I think that Brian Vickers actually crowded down. He tried to block Junior. So Junior getting into him was more of an incidental situation than anything, and I think that NASCAR was right.
Yeah, all I can tell you, there's many races left to go, and these drivers need to get over it, and I think that Steven and Jason have. We've all talked. Everything's cool right there. A lot of racing now, and we all got to get along.
On to the next one, as happens every week in racing. So now Daytona's in the rearview mirror, and we turn our attention to this race and this place. A really wide, fast 2-mile track with only moderate banking. 14 degrees here versus 31 at Daytona. Put us behind the wheel. What's the challenge for a driver here?
Oh, I tell you, the challenge right here is a good handling race car. The track is real fast, as you see. Cars are arcing down into turn 1 right now. A lot of bumps right there. You see the car jumping around. Shock absorbers are very, very important. It's been a challenge for all these crew guys to get the car handling good. Now you see this long back straightaway. I tell you, a lot of passing there, Alan.
Getting into the corners at high speeds. Big challenge here at California. Now, you recall last season, the Chevy teams in the Nationwide Series were lobbying NASCAR to have the R07 model engine approved for use here, saying they needed it to compete with the Toyotas. Well, they got it. With more, let's go to our Craftsman Tech Garage. Here's Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. You're exactly right. They lobbied for the new R07 generation engine, and they got it. But when they did that, they also got the same restrictor plate. When you ran the SB2 engine, you had a restrictor plate, a tapered plate that was 1 inch 125 thousandths. Now they come back with a Toyota plate. The SB2 guys in the Chevrolet, they have to run the same plate as Toyota does, and it's 1 inch 100 thousandths. So by giving up that 16 horsepower, they got this different tapered restrictor plate. But still yet, it'll be proven today on the racetrack who has the most horsepower between the Toyotas and the Chevrolets.
All right, thank you, Tim. And we have a whole lot more to tell you about in the short time before the green flag waves. For more on what we're going to report on, let's bring in our reporters. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, Alan, over the last year, Brad Keselowski has proven to be a championship contender. But today, he has one obstacle in his way, this racetrack. In 7 NASCAR starts, he's only finished 1 race. Coming up, I'm going to interview Brad and ask him about overcoming Fontana. Dave Burns?
Earlier today, Jamie, Kyle Busch dominated a Truck Series race, left everybody scrapping for all the scraps that they could get their hands on. We'll talk to Kyle Busch in just a little while and find out if he can do the same thing today in the Nationwide Series. Shannon Spake?
Dave, after serving a 6-month suspension, the Joe Gibbs Racing crew chief duo of Jason Ratcliffe and Dave Rogers are back on top of the pit box here today. Coming up on Countdown, I will talk to Dave Rogers about being back at the track and working with Joey Logano. Vince Welch?
Well, the name game continues for Richard Childress Racing here today. Remember, Clint Boyer, Stephen Light, and Jeff Burton, the driver of the 3 that has the best average finish after the July Daytona race, gets his name right here on top of the driver's window the rest of the season, regardless of who's driving. Boyer was 3rd at Daytona last week. Burton gets his first crack today. Alan?
All right, Vince, all that and more when NASCAR Countdown continues from Southern California. Look at that. They took our sign. There is the car to be driven by Brad Keselowski today, who figures to be one of the championship contenders in the Nationwide Series this season. The 25-year-old Michigan native gave us all access to his season opener at Daytona last week.
Off we go. I got you, bud. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, man.
Hey, did you know today was Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
I did not.
I got my Valentine's panties on. Seriously, I do.
Man, I came prepared.
You're the man.
I'm trying really hard for this year to stay relaxed and stay focused, stay calmer, because I noticed last year that when I had more fun racing, that I did better. So that's kind of my goal for this year. This is part of the experience, the walking through traffic, the Brad Keselowski experience. I'm a Bob and Weaver right here. Bob. Oh, wait, which way is he going? I'm gonna go try and make some alliances in the driver intros line. So I'm gonna need all the help I can get. Look at that, man. Like I planned. All right, go. Thanks, guys. Daytona is a handling racetrack, so we all try to work together as best we can. Thank you very much. About the time I put the helmet on, it's about perfect. That's why I don't like anybody else walking up to me. That's like, now I'm there. Now I'm the race car driver.
Brad, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, 10-4. Dale got your line clear.
All right, are you looking to move straight forward right here from the very beginning?
I'm going to be aggressive. It's going to be a good show, I can guarantee you that. Get ready. Green. All clear in front of you there. Everything's rolling in front of you. Are we catching them, Pop? Yep, 4, you're catching them. Go, go, go.
Looks like you might have the car to beat.
Stay tuned. This is going to be a good showdown.
Keselowski to the outside. Seem to go 3 wide here.
Oh, trouble. Into the outside wall, Keselowski. That's going to scramble up the pack.
I got a tire rub. Yeah, but just blew. My bad, guys. I'm doing all I can here. I'm sorry. Got some lug nuts over. You got to take the tire off, take it off, beat it out with a hammer, whatever you got to do. We got to can't be rubbing. Thanks for an awesome car, guys. Sorry about that.
When it comes to Daytona, I'd rather win than worry about points. We might be running for a championship, but wait a minute here. I'm running for a win. Fast car.
Well, Brad Keselowski seems to be a threat anywhere we go these days until we get to Fontana. 5 nationwide starts, 2 truck starts. You've only finished 1 race. What is it about Fontana?
I don't know. I enjoy coming here. It's beautiful weather, beautiful scenery, but this place has just been mean to me. I feel like if you look at last year, the 2 bad races we had here took us out of the championship. So hopefully that won't be the case here today with the GoGaddy.com Chevrolet, and we can run up front and get a good points finish and maybe even compete for a win.
All right, today is certainly an important one. He rolls off lucky number 13, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Our J-Ski news and notes here. NASCAR handing out some penalties for inspection violations at Daytona. Crew chief fines ranging from $15,000 to $5,000 plus probation. The owners and drivers dock points. You know how that whole thing works by now. Lots of wondering what the car count will look like for this race. 47 turned out versus 47 a year ago. And Jason Ratcliffe and Dave Rogers, the crew chiefs for Joe Gibbs Racing, who were suspended last summer for their chassis dyno test altering incident, are back at the racetrack this week.
The 20 car goes to victory lane once again.
Dave and I go back a long way because of the Cup Series, and he got the opportunity he deserved over here, and he has made the most of it. He's having one of those dream seasons like Kyle's having, so just really proud of him and his guys.
Yesterday was the day that we were going to chassis dyno cars, and our inspectors discovered some shims that were placed on the gas pedal stop. It was magnets that were about 1/4 inch thick that prevented the accelerator from going 100% wide open.
No matter what NASCAR does, we're going to address those issues in-house. Figure out exactly what happened, and those that were responsible, hey, there's going to be punishment for that. That's just part of life. You can't do that and put everyone else at risk.
Well, the Gibbs teams were performing at an incredible level last season before the suspensions, but even without their leaders at the track, they were no slouches, winning 5 times and scoring 17 top 10s of a possible 22. The Gibbs cars start 2nd and 7th today, Shannon.
Alan, it certainly was a tremendous season last year for the 20 team. Dave Rogers, of course, had to spend 11 of those races watching them from Charlotte, North Carolina. What was the hardest part of not being at the racetrack?
The toughest part was just loading the truck and saying goodbye to the guys. That's my second family, and I missed them while they're here racing. I feel like I let them down being at the shop, but Doug Hewitt did a great job for us and secured that championship, so we'll take it and move on.
All right, speaking of Doug Hewitt, Joey, you worked with several different crew chiefs during that time. What is different about Dave Rogers' leadership? What does he bring to you?
Dave's he's been there, done that. He's done it for a while. With working with a bunch of different drivers, he just brings a lot of confidence back to the whole team. Even me as a driver, the whole team here, I think everyone's more confident all through practice yesterday. So hopefully it's like the good old days today.
All right, the good old days. Of course, the good old days. The 20 dominated here at Fontana last season, and Joey Logano rolls off 7th.
All right, Shannon, thanks. Good to see both Dave and Jason Ratcliffe at the racetrack once again. As team owners, you both know the importance of a crew chief and that leadership at the racetrack. How do you explain what the Gibbs teams did with their leadership back at the shop instead of here?
Well, Alan, one thing I've noticed, they got a lot of depth. They also got a lot of backup people. But one thing you got to remember, those crew chiefs were still at the race shop. They were still preparing those cars that they work on all the time. They just handed a mission off to the crew chief that went and did it that day while they were gone. Now, you look at them every week and you say, man, they never change anything. They're always so prepared. And I can tell you, they are prepared. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with again this year, but back at the shop's where it all starts.
That is very, very, very much true. What happens with great race teams is when they come to the racetrack and unload their race car, they only adjust on it. You work on the race car back at the race shop. You don't come to the racetrack to work. And the guys that dominate are the guys that tweak it just a little bit. When it rolls off the truck, it's fast. And that's what happens with Joe Gibbs Racing.
A driver doesn't drive for a while, might be a little rust when he first gets in for practice. What about a crew chief? You see any rust on Dave Rogers or Jason Ratcliffe
No,
here?
I don't think see anything
right.
there at all. I mean, they're back in the shop. They're ready to go. I mean, these guys are hungry to get back, and they're back.
All right, Kyle Busch. Have talent, will race. You see Kyle there walking toward the grid. He's competing in all 3 NASCAR National Series races here, which is made for a busy Saturday. This morning, he qualified his nationwide car, second fastest, not bad. Jumped out of that, ran the Camping World Truck Series 200-miler. He dominated, led 95 of 100 laps for the win. After victory lane, it was off to final practice for the Sprint Cup car. Sprinting to his Cup car, you might say. Kyle starts 10th tomorrow in search of a win. He's got some points to make up after that Daytona 500 crash. And now he's ready to run 300 more miles, and he already has people talking about a possible weekend sweep, Dave.
And as we continue toward the grid with Kyle, and young fan getting a nice number 18 signed there. The Nationwide 18 will be your focus here, Kyle, in just a few minutes. How did it perform in practice, and how close is it to being as good as the truck was earlier today?
It performed real well in practice. We actually ended just a little bit early because we felt pretty good about it. I felt pretty good about it. So we'll see how it starts out here today and into the night, and you know what changes on it. But feel pretty confident that the Z-Line Designs Camry should do pretty well. So we're looking forward to it. What else can I say?
How much better are these triple header weekends when they start out with a W?
They're a lot better, that's for sure, especially in the same day. It's been a busy day, that's for sure, so I'm looking forward to going home and laying down on the couch here tonight and getting some rest for tomorrow. But besides that, you know, I think we've got another good shot here with this car. It's awfully fast, too.
He has been on the move, practice racing, debriefing, keeping all of that information straight for 3 very different types of race cars, Alan.
All right, David, thank you. You know, Kyle's he's got a great record of success here at this particular racetrack. Rusty, you've been there before. Bristol, Richmond come to mind. Is there a real practical way coming to a track where you've just got a wonderful record helps a driver?
Absolutely. And when I think of Kyle Busch, the first thing that comes to my mind is that he's a very, very fast driver. I mean, he qualifies good. He runs fast in practice. And this particular racetrack here in California, hey, man, we're running over 200 miles an hour getting into the corner. So this is a fast racetrack. And when I think about California, I do think about Kyle Busch.
We really need to appreciate Kyle Busch and his talent. I mean, this is incredible what he does. And first and foremost, he is a racer's racer. The one thing that he does, though, he gets in all 3 of these divisions. He's going to race. Most guys can't do that because they just run out of talent. This guy is so talented. We really need to appreciate this.
Can you imagine playing you know, back-to-back basketball games on the same day?
I could barely play the one game I was going to play.
Now, Rusty, I know you're very focused on racing, but you do know that this is Academy Awards weekend in L.A.
I do.
Surrounding us. So we asked some drivers, if they made a movie about your life, who would you want to play you?
If there was a movie about my life,
Who would be good as me?
Tom Cruise. I mean, we look alike.
We're getting deep now.
Harrison Ford. When the chips are down, he's tough as hell. That's how I am sometimes.
I always liked the guy that was Zach on Saved by the Bell. What was his name?
Somebody looks way better than I do. Ben Stiller. Or maybe Jerry Stiller. No, Ben. Maybe Jerry one day.
So who's going to be the star of the show today?
Very good.
Like that? Yeah. NASCAR Countdown returns to Southern California.
A lap at Fontana. Man, I don't have a very good track record at Fontana. Are you sure you want to hear that from me?
Oh, crash, big. Oh, gosh, that was a hard wreck.
I think I'm okay, guys.
I think if you just review my footage from California, you might decide that I'm not a credible source.
The surface is kind of unique where it doesn't seem to have a lot of grip in certain areas, and it's got some bumps that give it some character.
You're not sure if it's going to stick, how well it's going to stick, what the car's going to do. You're always working pretty hard inside the car.
The straightaways are really long. You really stay out against the wall a long time. It feels like there's absolutely no banking at all. When you're going into the corner at 210 miles an hour, it feels like you're just going to roll right over.
Just a little bit of what to expect in 300 miles of racing at the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. That's tonight's challenge. Then the rest of the weekend is also filled with lots of motorsports action for you here on ESPN2. Drag racing from Phoenix, the NHRA Arizona Nationals qualifying. That's midnight tonight on ESPN2. NASCAR Now Sprint Cup pre-race edition, Sunday morning, 10 Eastern Time. The NHRA Finals from Phoenix at 7 Eastern Sunday. Our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable wrapping up all the California action Monday. And then it's on to Vegas, baby. Next Saturday, 4 Eastern Time for our NASCAR Nationwide Series coverage here on ESPN2. Driver introductions ongoing. There's the stage set up at the start-finish line of this speedway, and the field of 43 being introduced now as they walk across the stage, and they'll begin to head for their cars and begin buckling in just a little while. So Richard Childress Racing's 29 cars sitting on the grid. Jeff Burton behind the wheel in this event. It's lined up 6th. Winning the race today is the goal, but for this team, there's another game being played at the same time.
Clint got his feelings hurt because at our photo shoot, my name was on the roof of the car.
I was like, why does he get his name on the door?
I've been driving a Holiday Inn car for a couple years and won, quite a few races in it. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. He was the reigning champion, so he, thought he needed a little respect. So we made a wager. I might need to get this in writing. But at some point in the year, whoever has won the most races gets to put their name on the car.
Luckily for me, my first 4 races are like 3 of my best tracks.
Just a little more incentive for us to go out and win.
To be able to say that, oh look, Jeff Burton, or hey look, Boyer's driving the car with my name on it. I know it would eat at Clint because Clint was already talking about, man, I really hope I don't have to drive this car without my name on it.
I just really want to see Jeff Burton climb in my car with my name on it. I think it'd be great.
It's my car. They're just borrowing it every now and then. It's my car.
And there is Jeff Burton live on stage accepting an award for the team from some of the Daytona action a week ago. We'll see who wins the name game. There's the breakdown, or here is the breakdown of who will drive how many races in that 29 car this season as those drivers together pursue the Owners' Championship in the Nationwide Series. For Richard Childress Racing, you see Burton up for a dozen. And again, tonight, he starts in the 6th position. Now, if I have this right, he's walking down the steps from that stage and right up to our Dave Burns.
And you judged correctly, Alan. We're just getting out of the infield here for Jeff to get to his race car, and we just talked about the name game. This is your first chance to put the W in your column. How good's the race car, Jeff?
I think it's really good. Track's going to change a lot. It's going to cool down a lot, and we fought getting looser here when the sun goes down, which is exactly opposite of what I would think. So we were a little bit loose yesterday. I hope I'm not too loose tonight, but I think they've done a really nice job, and I'm ready to go. So.
Will these overcast skies help that transition, the sun going down in turn 3?
Yeah, I think it will, and it's going to, it won't have quite the change that if it was sunny and then it cooled down a lot. So I don't think we'll see quite the transition that we see here like in the fall.
All right, Jeff Burton in the 29 car today.
And certainly wouldn't rule out Jeff Burton being a really strong performer here. Talked about that R07 engine for the Chevys, Rusty, and then really wanting it for this season. Your team, Fields Chevrolet's the team that you own. Feel like you're on a par with the Toyotas now?
Well, I don't think anybody really knows right now, but this particular racetrack is a good place to judge. You think about California, you think about Michigan. Some of the tracks with the long straightaways where horsepower really shows up. I know the Chevy guys wanted that R07. They got it now, but I'll tell you, while they're getting R07, the Toyotas are still working hard too. So, I mean, everybody's working hard. They all want the big power.
And, Brad, all this talk about Chevy, Toyota, there's another group out there. That's the Fords.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
We wondered where they stand in relation to the Chevys and the Toyotas. Well, let's see. We got all 3 Roush Fenway Fords qualified in the top 10 here.
Yeah, I talked to Dan Stillman, the crew chief on Carl Edwards, number 60 car, as well as David Reagan, the driver. And both of these guys said that they feel like the power plants in all 3 vehicles are pretty similar. There's no big advantage to anyone. Very, very racy. It looks like Ford, though, has got it figured out.
Carl Edwards starting on the pole, and it would certainly be no surprise to see a Roush Fenway car in victory lane at the end of these 300 miles tonight, because the Cat in the Hat has a remarkable record in the Nationwide Series at this track. 39 entries, 6 wins, 25 top 10s, and again, all 3 of those cars, Reagan, Biffle, and Edwards, in the top 10 on the starting grid tonight. Let's hear from the Biff with Vince.
Greg Biffle making a lot of fans happy with the autographs today, and he's happy with the race car as well. We keep hearing about how difficult this track is for the crew chiefs to get a handle on. You've won here 3 times, led more laps than anyone. What clicks for you at this racetrack?
Well, I tell you, it's it's a fun racetrack because it's so difficult, so different from end to end. Turn 1 and 2 is so different than 3 and 4, and you get your car going good in one end, and then you're not so good at the other. So it is very difficult. You almost have to sacrifice one end, and really the driver has to adapt to that. To be faster at both ends. I got a car, City Financial Ford Fusion, car running really good today, so I'm excited.
It's been a while since you've won here, 3 years, August or 2006, I guess it was, 75 races. Do you feel like you've got one that can break that streak today?
I hope so. I'm glad it's not 73 years. I'm glad it's only 3. But yeah, I think we have a good enough car to win today. And there's just a lot of tough cars in this field, this nationwide field. It's very competitive, so we'll see what we can do.
Drivers talk about how loose their race cars are at this track, and there's not many better driving a loose race car than Greg Biffle.
All right, Vince, thanks to Biff taking the green from the 5th spot on the grid tonight. He's lucky that car's in one piece. This was Friday morning's opening practice here.
Oh, man, I tell you what, you got to have a good driver, you got to have power, but you also got to have a little bit of luck. Take a look at this. Big spin off of turn 2, doesn't hit anything, spins around, gets that baby stopped, gets some tires on it, gets it woed down, and guys, I got to tell you, sometimes I'd rather have luck to be good.
Oh, yeah, you see that off of turn 2 here a lot, too, because it's such a transition as you come off the corner, and the straightaway just flattens out so hard. That car looked perfectly settled, and before you know it, he was spinning.
Greg told crew chief Eddie Pardue, I was just pushing a little harder than I should have been. So he's got it in one piece and getting ready to go from 5th spot on the grid. Now, Kevin Harvick's 33 car is lined up 9th on the grid. Kevin is our in-race reporter today. He's with Shannon right now.
Alan, it's been a great year so far. 2 races for Kevin Harvick in this 33 car. Last week you said that you had your cars prepared up until Bristol. How much has that preparation helped you get a strong start to the season?
Well, we had a great car last week, and driver just made a bad move there at the end, but our Rheem Chevrolet has been good. We unloaded well today, or yesterday, whatever day it was, and hopefully we can have a good race today. So we just got to keep ourselves in contention and keep ourselves running where we need to run, and the rest of it will take care of itself.
A lot of people are looking at the 18 and the 60 cars, the dominant cars in this race. Can your Chevy take on the Toyota and the Ford of those 2 cars?
Well, we hope so. It's it's like I say, it's been really good in practice, and you just got to put together a whole night, and that's what it's all about. You can't make any mistakes, and you have to have a fast car.
All right, Kevin Harvick down here with this 33 car, rolls off 9th.
All right, Shannon, thanks. So we'll keep an eye on Harv trying to win here on his, what would be a home track, not far from Bakersfield here. And he's our in-race reporter. DJ looking for suggestions for questions. Log on to ESPN.com.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, don't try this at home. I'm a trained professional. Keyword, ask the driver, and we'll see if your question gets used for Kevin Harvick during tonight's action. Last week's season opener at Daytona saw the front of the finishing order dominated by some of the Sprint Cup guys. You kind of would expect that at Daytona, but some Nationwide Series regulars had some great results. You see Jason Keller with the top 10, a lot of other guys, top 20 results. And that Michael McDowell, he's got a great starting spot for tonight's race. Let's hear from him.
And Alan, it's all the way up there at the front of the grid, and Michael's been walking for like 10 minutes already, but that's a good walk, isn't it, qualifying 3rd?
Yeah, it feels good. I'm just really proud of our guys at JTG Doherty Racing, and we put this program together very late, and so for us to come here and sort of have the performance we did in qualifying, I'm really happy about it, and just want to thank Gene Need and all the guys back at the shop for working hard, and we got Pacific Packaging Group with us this weekend, and we can't wait to expand that program.
What was it about that lap? I mean, did you know this is a car that I can maybe contend for the pole with, or did you just kind of, hey, this stuck and it's great?
Well, a little bit of both. We had a really good race car, and we were really happy in race trim. We didn't know where we'd be qualifying trim. We were hoping somewhere in the top 10, but going out early, and the car was just great. So I just kept my foot in it, and we were able to get a good lap.
All right, keep an eye on Michael. He's in that white number 47 today. Alan?
That name Doherty on the front of his uniform.
Yes, sir.
Boy's done you well so far.
He's done a fine job.
There you go, and we wish him well in tonight's race. Now, don't forget our driver pick'em game presented by Nationwide Insurance. At ESPN.com, you can search Nationwide and make your picks from the selected matchups for tonight's race and every race throughout the Nationwide Series season. Our boys were perfect in their picks at Daytona last week. Perfectly awful. As in, everybody's over so far. So we move on to tonight's race, and who did our guys pick out from some of the matchups? Rusty had the Keller Scott Lagasse Jr. matchup. He picked Keller. Brad has the Kenny Wallace Michael Annett matchup. He's gone with Kenny Wallace, and it's in a backup car after a qualifying crash. And Ray, via email, has picked Stephen Wallace. In the battle of the co-analyst team owner thing between the 66 and 47 cars. All right, let's talk about it. 300 miles on this very fast 2-mile racetrack without a whole ton of banking. One thing that's normally a factor here is visibility going into turn 3 with bright sun glare. Overcast tonight, that takes out that as something to watch for. What are we watching for in this race?
In my mind, the number one thing you got to watch for is a changing track conditions. We're going to start during the day and end at night. And these cars, the way they handle when they start the race and when they finish, are going to be way different. I expect to see different guys at the end of the race up front than I do at the beginning.
I agree with you. Mid-pack guys who are really fast can take advantage. This racetrack also creates a significant draft. A lot of people don't think that when we come here, but you can utilize the draft on the front and back straightaway. If you're smart, you'll keep gaining positions throughout the day. You're going to see who the smart racers are.
Some of what to watch for as 43 drivers go 300 miles at the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Kyle Busch starting on the front row. He's already won once today. ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series in Southern California for race number 2 of the 2009 season. Let's go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Centurion Battalion Accession Task Force, California Army National Guard, presents our nation's colors. And now please welcome Jeff Hamilton from Motor Racing Outreach as he delivers our invocation.
Good evening. Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, even while we're here enjoying tonight's great event, this night of racing, the things that are truly important from us are never far from our mind. That is the love of our family and friends, which is a continual reminder of your love for us. Thank you for your protection and provision, since all good things truly come from you. Bless tonight's event with your grace. Amen.
And now, race fans, please remain standing and welcome Mercury Records' new recording artist, Jessie James, as she performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rock like the bombs bursting in air, God proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So the teams are ready. Time for the drivers to climb aboard and buckle in. The green flag flies in Southern California just moments from now.
NASCAR Nationwide Series in California, presented by GoDaddy.com, where you can make the web your domain with a .com name for less than $1 a month. And in part by Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And Toyota, moving forward.
Nice to see the boss and Mrs. Mouse on hand here in Southern California for the race.
Absolutely, we love it.
And now it's time to get ready to go. Have you regained your composure over there yet?
You got me cracking up.
I'm telling you what, we are all set to go here in the pit studio for tonight's race. Weather conditions very nice, 70 degrees. It is overcast, which again helps the drivers by eliminating that blind spot down the back straightaway into turn 3 in these day and tonight races. So that'll be a big plus, and we hope the action on the track is every bit deserving of an Academy Award by the end of the night.
Very nice.
Let's go upstairs to our 3 leading men. Dr. Jerry Punch, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie. Doc, he wanted me to call you our 3 comedians, but I didn't do that.
Otherwise known as Daffy and Goofy. I think we had Mickey and Minnie here a moment ago, guys. Hey, nice job down there, by the way. And hello, everyone. Glad to have you with us. You know, the adjustments are always huge when you go from restrictor plate drafting in Daytona to 4-wide drifting here in Fontana. Now, but this year, there are many more unknowns than ever before, guys. Why?
Well, the biggest thing is no testing during the offseason, and that's put these guys, some have built new cars. They have no idea what to do there. They haven't been able to try new things. The other thing is these guys have a tire rule for the weekend, so they were limited on the number of sets they have. They don't want to use up a lot of those sets. They want to make sure in the race they have enough good sets to put on if we should have some caution to do that, so it limited their practice time. So a lot of unknowns for these guys tonight.
Yeah, but it really rewards the preparation at the shop that these guys have put in. The guys up front have done a lot of work back at the shop, and they've prepared these cars well, and that's what this new era of no testing is going to do. The guys that really work hard in the shop are going to be the ones that will be rewarded on race day.
You know, several teams have said that this worn surface here reminds them of an old Darlington. Now, what do they mean by that, and how does that impact the race?
Well, what they mean by Darlington, the old Darlington, was how the surface would just got so worn out that you really don't have any grip. And that's what's happening here. You don't have a lot of grip here, but you got a lot of width. This track is a lot wider than Darlington, and it's a lot bigger. You got a lot of speed getting in the corners. You're going to see these guys literally drifting through the corners. I know Kyle Busch will and Carl Edwards, those guys are going to be basically sideways through the corner, and that's what you get here. And it's a high-speed, high-stakes drifting game.
Yeah, and these guys would trade some of that width that they have for a little more banking and a lot more grip. But it makes for a lot of fun, and we're going to see these guys 2, 3, and sometimes 4 wide during the corners and down the straightaway. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
This race starts in the daylight and will end after dark. Drivers getting buckled in here in the final minutes before the command. Now, are all you Miley Cyrus fans, listen up, folks, because, no, it's not Miley, but her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus, is standing by to give the command to get everybody fired up here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. So let's go trackside now and get the command to get underway for 300 miles here tonight.
Race fans, it's now time for the most famous words in motorsports. Would you please welcome back your Grand Marshal, country music superstar, and star of the upcoming film Hannah Montana the Movie, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Drivers, start your engines.
Stall number 9, between the Red Bull and the Great Cliff. Stalls here. Got a lot of race fans behind the pit wall. Make sure they're cleared out when we're ready to do our job.
Engines have fired, and we are just moments away from rolling these cars and getting started here in Fontana, California. When we return, we'll visit with a 2-time series champion, Kevin Harvick, who grew up in nearby Bakersfield, California. He has done everything you can do at this racetrack but win here. We'll talk to him in just a moment. The day's activities began here at Fontana in the early morning with NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying, and Cousin Carl had him covered. By over 0.2 of a second, he puts his Ford on the pole for the second time here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. He'll be flanked on the front row by Kyle Busch. And while you watch to see where your favorite driver will start, why don't we visit with the driver of the Ream Chevrolet, our in-race reporter, Kevin Harvick, who starts back in 9th here tonight.
Hey, Kevin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy? Kevin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Gotcha.
Hey, Kevin, first, thanks for doing this tonight. How much adjustability have you put into your setup to go from daylight to dark, or will you just mainly be using air pressure, wedge, and your track bar tonight?
For the most part tonight, we'll just be using those things. I think our car was we were just a little bit loose in practice yesterday, and we, thinking going into tonight, maybe we could adjust it if we were still too loose. So hopefully it does what we think it should do, and we'll go from there with our Ream Chevrolet.
Okay, Kevin, our second question comes from our ESPN.com mailbag, and Jeremy in Wyanett, Illinois, would like to know, how rewarding would it be for you as an owner to get your first win in your own equipment, and I'll add, especially here in your home state?
That'd be pretty cool. We've had a lot of success at this racetrack, just never a win. So maybe we can knock both of those things down. I know these guys have put a lot of work and effort into everything that we've done this year and every other year. So looking to get that first barrier knocked down so we can keep them going forward.
All right, Kevin, thanks again for talking with us tonight. Now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Ernie Cope.
Hey, Ernie, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, Ernie, work with me here just a minute. We've been hearing so much about Kevin winning his first race in the KHI equipment. Tell us now, how big a bonus is Kevin going to give you to get that first win here?
You have to ask him that. I just love where we all work so hard that we can get it tonight. That'd be good.
Well, we got him on the phone right here. You want me to help you negotiate a deal?
I'm sure everything will be fine.
Okay, Ernie, good luck tonight, and hope you guys do get that first win.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin Harvick carrying an onboard camera. We'll have onboard cameras in 7 other cars, including Brad Keselowski in the GoDaddy.com Chevy starting back in 13th. Keep an eye, by the way, on Brian Vickers. A lot of people in the garage area starting back in 12th spot believe he will be one of the cars to watch here tonight. We will also have a camera and microphone in our over-the-wall crew member, Ricky Puddin Coleman, out of Orlando, Florida, the rear tire carrier for Jason Leffler. So let's have a little bit of Andy Petrie to Puddin conversation.
Hey, Ricky, you got us up here?
Yes, sir, Mr. Petrie.
Tell us a little bit about what it's like now. You're on 3 different pit crews this weekend with the Truck Series, the Nationwide Series, and the Sprint Cup Series. Tell us about how different these race vehicles are to make pit stops with.
Well, I mean, you know, basically between the trucks, the Nationwide Series, and the Sprint Cup Series, all the cars have a different shape in the back of them. The trucks obviously are a lot longer. The Nationwide cars are a lot shorter. And all you're really doing is, you know, you're just adjusting to those vehicles. You know, getting around the car is where you're making up a lot of the times now, especially with the rule changes in the stud lengths. You know, you make up a lot of your times, mistake-free pit stops and getting around the car. As far as the differences in the cars, there's you know, the Nationwide and the trucks are much tighter quarter panels, so you have to be careful when you're putting the tire on the hub that you're not hitting the quarter panels, costing yourself time on pit road. Fortunately, on the Sprint Cup side of things, the fenders are basically all standard because of the COT car, so those are actually a lot easier to carry tires on than the Cups in the Nationwide Series.
Okay, Ricky, I'm sure you're going to give us some good stuff tonight. Good luck.
Hey, you have a great day.
Working all 3 races, so all 3 series getting a little bit of pudding this weekend here. Now, we can buy a guidebook in Southern California that'll tell you where the best restaurants are. But, Andy, why don't you tell us where the best pit stalls are here at the racetrack?
Well, there's some great pit stalls on this pit road. I like these 2 right here at this opening because it lets you get in and off your out of your pit stall with a little more room. There's also a couple more pit stalls on down towards the other end of pit road that have the same kind of real estate. You can get in and out pretty good. But the best pit stall on this pit road is down at the very end. It's the #1 pit stall. And this is the one that Carl Edwards picked, our pole sitter. He picked this pit because he can get his work done and pull straight out on the racetrack with nobody, not having to worry about any traffic, and he can hopefully get in the lead and off pit road in the lead. And if he's not in the lead, he can make up probably 1 or 2 spots by having this pit stall.
What do they say in real estate? Location, location, location. Well, this weekend here in LA, we've talked about how much everyone's going to enjoy the Academy Award ceremony, so why not some best-in-category predictions from our stars in the pits? Here's Shannon Spade.
Thanks, Doc. We're going to start tonight's prediction with the driver who deserves the award for the best performer here at Auto Club Speedway. I'm talking about driver-owner Kevin Harvick and our in-race reporter. In 12 races here, he has an average finish of 6th, which is the best of all active drivers. Now, he's never won at this track, but his consistency is certainly impressive. Vince?
Well, my category is the breakthrough performer, and I think that honor is going to go to Brad Keselowski in the 88 today. In 5 previous Nationwide Series races, he's yet to crack the top 30. Keselowski came here with a purpose this weekend and says this is by far the fastest car he's ever had at Fontana. And after finishing 22nd at Daytona last week, he needs a breakthrough performance here tonight. Jamie Little?
Well, Vince, I'll tell you what, one driver to watch for best performance, perhaps Greg Biffle. He's won here 3 times, but the catch is it's been 3 years since he won a nationwide race, and it happened right here back in 2006. He says he has a car to win, perhaps an racing style Oscar is in his sights. Let's go to Dave Burns.
Best picture, Jamie, how about the clear view the fans are going to get of the championship from here on out? The 2 guys on the front row today, they are the only 2 Sprint Cup regulars competing the whole season in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. The championship leader, Tony Stewart, isn't even in this race. This is what the championship will look like from here on out. Doc?
Thanks, guys. We may be an hour east of Hollywood, but we certainly have seen some memorable performances here over the years. Who will it be tonight? The veterans up front, Edwards and Busch. How about a talented newcomer qualifying 3rd, Michael McDowell, making only his 7th ever start in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Should be a fun one to watch. Glad to have you with us as the cars come out of turn 4 and head down to the green flag here, Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Down the back straightaway, Kyle Busch not wasting any time. Remember, he's already been on this track today where he led 95 laps to win the NASCAR Truck Series event.
Yeah, the start of this race and the restarts when these cars are bunched up gives the best opportunities for really drafting purposes. You get these guys make big holes in the air. Someone from behind can really get a nice run down these straightaways. That's when we'll see them get 2, 3, and sometimes 4 wide.
Looks like Kyle Busch like that view out front in that truck race. He's got it again right here. Carl Edwards doesn't need to let him get too far away here in the early laps.
I don't know that Carl's going to have much to say about it. Kyle has been strong. You know, he led a lot of laps here last year, and he just has a really good feel for this racetrack in whatever he gets in.
One driver who knows he can't let either one of these guys get away is these guys back in the pack here, the veterans like Biffle in the 16 and Kevin Harvick trying to move down the inside of Biffle for position. That would be the 6th spot.
And that bottom lane is going to be the preferred line around here most of the time.
But it hasn't been so far. I mean, we saw Kyle Busch take the lead from the outside, and we look at Greg Biffle right here on the outside of Kevin Harvick. Looks like the outside lane is working real well early.
But it helps you keep a little momentum through the corner. You don't have to slow the car down as much, put as much wheel into it. So if you can keep that momentum and keep your car rolling, then you can make that work. But it is a longer way around.
Drivers over the years have said the good part about this racetrack is there's so many different lanes to choose from. The bad news is?
Yeah, there's no grip in any of them is the bad news.
There goes Harvick down on the inside. That 20 car is Joey Logano.
You see Kevin Harvick working all the way below the white line and on the apron. And that's where a lot of guys will try to search for grip.
Yeah, and we talk about no grip, and that's not a negative towards the racetrack or anything. I'll assure you, these drivers would much rather have a racetrack like this than something that's just been repaved to where they all have to run the same line and run the same speed.
See, he started 180 miles an hour entering the corner, plus.
I was talking to Kevin yesterday a little bit about how they've changed these tapered spacers, how it's changed the driving of these cars here at this racetrack. And he was saying it just makes you drive it so much further into the corner. With the tires fresh and the air pressure down, he said you can drive it so much further in the corner. He said you're barely lifting out of the throttle.
You see there, he's working the apron underneath Joey Logano, making his car work real well on the bottom of the racetrack.
Logano had gone by Harvick for position for 6th spot, and now Harvick trying to take it back. In front of them is Biffle in the 5th position.
We heard Greg Biffle talking about how this track is different from on each end, and I have to assume that as a driver that's because it's so tight coming off turn 2 and turn 4 opens up quite a bit.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. It does. It flattens out so quickly coming off turn 2. Your car literally will move a lane or even more possibly coming off there because it flattens out. You lose the banking there. And then the entrance to turn 3 is a lot different. You tend to get a lot looser on the entry to turn 3, and then you have a lot more room coming out of 4.
Yeah, we see Kevin Harvick's car working real well in 3 and 4, not quite so good in 1 and 2, and now we're seeing that kind of play out, how these two ends are different.
Yeah, and you'll see him utilize that apron that Kevin's down on a lot with his left side tires there, down in 3 and 4. That allows him to get back to the gas and then have the whole racetrack coming out of turn 4. You can't really do that as much in 1 and 2.
David Reagan in the 6 car trying to move in and on the bottom of the racetrack. You see the 20 car beginning to move up, particularly in the middle of the corner. He loses the nose of the car, being opening up the door for the pass. This time it's Reagan who will slide back behind him.
This last lap by Carl Edwards was actually quicker than Kyle Busch. You see, like, it looks like he's going to close this gap a little bit on this lap also.
When the NASCAR Nationwide Series cars were here last August, Kyle Busch sat on the pole and led 144 laps out of 150, dominating, becoming the first driver ever to win a NASCAR Nationwide Series race from the pole. He's pretty good here.
Yeah, I'd say so. He's proven it so far this weekend, too.
29 car is Jeff Burton in 3rd spot. Mike Bliss back and forth. See here, a couple of cars making moves on the inside. There is Stephen Wallace. And behind him at 12, the rookie Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier coming up through there pretty well.
See Michael Waltrip in the 99. He's utilizing that high line. He likes to get up there and let his car roll and get a big run off the corner. See Stephen Wallace right in front of him. Stephen's actually passed his teammate Brendan Gaughan, who had started in the 11th spot.
Both Stephen Wallace and Brendan Gaughan were in the top 10 in the final practice session, which took place last night about this time. Brendan Gaughan moving up high. That car right on the bottom of the racetrack is David Rudiman in one of the Braun Toyotas, and back up front it is a Toyota they are chasing. Kyle Busch in the 18 car doing triple duty this weekend, has already won the truck race, trying to now to win the NASCAR Nationwide Series event tonight and the Cup Series event here on Sunday. Back in just a moment. Working lap 12 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series at California, presented by GoDaddy.com, and the aerial coverage courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear. For track-tested technology, get there on Goodyear Innovation. Kyle Busch, we talked about his domination in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race a year ago. Of course, he led 95 laps earlier today to win the NASCAR Truck Series. And there are his numbers here. How impressive is that? 587 laps led. 19 trips here to this racetrack. Let's check in his pits with James.
Doc, and 8 of those wins came in this very car, the 18, and his crew chief was Jason Ratcliffe. Now, we've talked about the 18 and the 20 crew chiefs being back atop the pit box. Jason Ratcliffe, you see him on the left side, but the man sitting next to him is Joel Weidman. He's the man that took Kyle, of course, to victory lane 5 times while Jason was on suspension, but he's back, and he told me he and Kyle are focused on winning this championship. He said it's the first time and the best opportunity they have to win that championship. So they're back together again, once again. And right now, guys, Kyle says the car doesn't have the grip he's looking for, but it's pretty good.
A lot of depth on that team there with Jason and Joel. Here is the 66 car now moving in, and that was a battle for 11th spot, and Stephen Wallace takes it away.
Yeah, he's going the right way, but Michael McDowell is going the wrong way. He's been slipping back from the start. He qualified 3rd, and you know, sometimes you can have a good qualifying race car, and that really can bite you when this race starts.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially young guys, they tend to get that car a little bit too tight, which feels good to them qualifying, and will lay down a fast lap. But you get into the race, and that car starts sliding the nose, then you lose a lot of speed through the center, and then that kills your straightaway speed. Not saying that's what Michael's done here, but you can really see him falling back.
See that 10 car, David Rudiman, he's moving up. He's our biggest mover so far, still making up spots. He's moved up 11 spots since the start.
There's Justin Allgaier in the 12 car behind the 47 of McDowell. Allgaier driving for Roger Penske. He was the highest qualifying Dodge here in this one tonight.
A nice run for him so far. Doing a really good job. Watching him a few laps here. Looks like he's got his car handling really good on the bottom. Gets off the corner really well.
99 easing into your picture there. That is Michael Waltrip. Brand new race car for Jerry Baxter and the boys. For Michael, who said apparently he was very pleased with the handling of this car in practice.
It looks pretty good right now, too. I'm like you, Dale. I think for him to really be good, he's going to have to be working the top of the racetrack, and now we see him working on the bottom. But as this race progresses, that upper groove should come in a little better.
Yeah, I know a lot of these guys are hoping that it's going to anyway, because it allows you to get up there, gives you more room, gives you passing opportunities. So they're hoping some rubber gets down up there and a little more grip for them.
Kevin Harvick down on the inside of the one car, Mike Bliss.
And Mike Bliss with another good qualifying effort this week and running well. He had a good run going last week. A few things went wrong there as he got caught up in a few things, but another good solid run as Kevin Harvick's trying to work that inside and take over the 5th spot.
Update Mike Bliss. Shannon.
Mike Bliss has really been battling loose conditions in his race car and qualifying, hoping that it will tighten up as the race goes on today. But guys, this is his favorite chassis according to Mike Bliss. He told me that this week. He said he ran into the ground last year. He finished 5th with it at Michigan, of course, the sister track to Fontana. Doc.
You know, when you have a race car you really like, for a driver, I always like as a crew chief to give it to him. It gives him confidence. He gets down in the seat of that thing, and he just feels like that is the best car for him. And I've always been a proponent of just, if that's what he wants, keep bringing it to the track, even if you think you have a better car.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys always think that a lot, that, hey, we got a better aero car and everything else. But I'm sure Rusty would say the same thing. Man, give me that car that feels good. We see Michael Waltrip taking the spot away here. But that's what you want as a driver, a car that you have confidence in, that you know when you get there it's going to give you that good feel.
Man, I tell you what, DJ, well said, man. There's no doubt about that. When a driver jumps in a car, it feels good to him. The seat fits good. That's a car he likes. That just means a whole lot. I tell you guys, one thing I'm watching here, though, in this race, kind of unconnected a little bit, is, boy, that top groove looks like it's really starting to come in. And these cars don't have a lot of horsepower compared to the Cup cars. It looks to me like turn 2, those babies are flying off the top side of that racetrack right now.
Yeah, that does look like where the momentum is. For the guys that are running the top groove, it looks like coming off turn 2 and down the backstretch is where they make the most time using that momentum.
As Rusty was mentioning, the 29 car of Jeff Burton is losing some grip now, and he has lost 3 positions in the last lap and a half. Now back to 6th spot. Jason Leffler on the left side of your screen, sort of in the center of a lot of controversy last week at Daytona. He is now moving up here. That car, Leffler up to 16th spot. McDowell has moved back from 3rd now to 17th position.
And Scott Lagasse Jr. there in the mix. He's in the red car trying to make a pass on Michael McDowell, and he was caught up in that Jason Leffler and Stephen Wallace deal last weekend. Had a good run going the whole day at Daytona, but making progress here too.
And behind in the 27 car of Jason Keller had a great top 10 finish last week. Now, again, Jeff Burton is sliding backwards in the field, and now we'll lose that 6th position. Vince, what's going on with the 29 car?
Well, Jeff Burton is losing positions as he is dropping toward the back. Obviously got a long way to go because he started up front, but he says this car is very, very loose. Calm on the radio with Shane Wilson, who's subbing as crew chief this weekend for Darren Deringhoff, who had a baby earlier in the week. But Burton says this car is way too loose. Shane Wilson assured him, don't worry, we've got plenty of time. We'll snug it up at our stop.
Well, we heard Jeff Burton say in the countdown show that they found that their car got looser as the track cooled down, and that's going to be even worse. So they're going to have to make a pretty big swing at this thing, Andy.
Yeah, it used to be that the tracks would cool down and the cars would get tighter. And a lot of guys are having a hard time adjusting to whether it's this new tire or what's causing this. But most of the time now you hear as the tracks cool off, the cars get looser. So they're going to have to work on this car. I don't think it's going to tighten up by itself. They're going to have to make some adjustment.
Jeff Burton has been very good here over the years and has in fact won here back in the fall of 2007. See Brendan Gaughan continuing to move up toward the front. And folks, we are 21 laps in, so we're about halfway to a first pit stop if we stay green at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Kyle Busch has led all 22 laps thus far. Next week, we head to the show capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Folks, last year, over 120,000 fans were on hand to watch the NASCAR Nationwide Series race, and they didn't go home disappointed. What a great move by Mark Martin to win it. First ever win for Junior Motorsports. In the year before, how about that great battle between Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch? Folks, that's next week coming your way, 4 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday on ESPN2. Kyle Busch is our leader, and he has led all 26 laps thus far. And while you watch him lead, let's visit with a special guest down in the garage area. Jamie.
Certainly a familiar face, of course, singer, actor, Miley Cyrus's dad, Billy Ray Cyrus. Of course, you're the Grand Marshal. What was it like for you saying those famous words in racing?
Well, it was just great to be here, to get back to my Tennessee roots, hence the title of the new album, Back to Tennessee. The single, Back to Tennessee, is doing great on radio, and getting out here and being part of NASCAR really makes me feel like I'm at home. This was a great way to start this weekend and to be a part of this race.
Great to see Billy Ray Cyrus. Of course, he's watching his boy Kyle Busch right now as he leads this race. Doc?
Thank you, Jamie. Accomplished singer, songwriter, actor, and now everybody knows him as Miley's dad.
Yeah. I saw him earlier down in Kyle Busch's pit for the truck race. I'm sure that's probably where he's headed again if he's wanting to go to Victory Lane again, the way it's looking right now. Kyle Busch is he's over 5 seconds out front right now. Just lap after lap, he's clipping off, beating these guys about 2/10.
One car that's been making a move since they waved the green flag, and no surprise whatsoever, David Rudiman in the 10 car. And he has gained a total of 17 positions since that's the start of this race. Making his way toward the front. He's going to probably need a little help from the pit stop to get him up there to be able to have a shot at running down. There is the biggest movers. Michael Annett, by the way, in a backup car after having an accident during qualifying. And there you see Rudiman in the 10 car moving up toward the top 15. Dave.
And Doc, actually, he is 12th right now, chasing down the 12 car in front of him of Allgaier. And his car has been great since the start of the race, but just a little bit on the tight side, telling crew chief Todd Losey that he needs a big adjustment on that first round of pit stops. They're going to remove a spring rubber from the left rear spring of that car. And Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage, I know you've told me 100 times, but how do they do that, and where's that located?
Dave, it's pretty simple. You can reach down here, folks. You actually pull the spring rubber out. But what a lot of the teams are doing, they actually have the spring rubber hanging. So if they've got the thing in there, they can pull the thing out, leave it back in this area right here, where if they need it again, they can reinstall it. But when you're in a deal where the nose is pushing, you're going to take that rubber out, and it's going to take weight off that left rear tire, enabling the car to turn from the center of the corner off.
Just a half a rubber doesn't take much, as Tim was showing, and it can make a big difference for a driver.
Yeah, and you would think, wow, how much difference is that going to make? But it does make a huge difference instead of having to worry about adjusting the wedge, which is hard to do on these cars now when they're running these coil binding setups, Andy.
It is, and you know, you're talking about fine adjustments, and you're trying to find just a little bit of balance. It's all about balance, keeping the car where you don't have one end or the other sliding around, and sometimes it's hard to find, but that spring rubber is a great way to tune that chassis.
And we're about 10 or 12 laps away from pit stops, and now the 29 car beginning to make his way back toward the front. He had dropped back a couple more spots and now retakes the 6th position from Mike Bliss.
You know, we heard him talk about Jeff Burton's car being loose now, and he talked about it getting looser whenever the sun went down. But what generally happens here in a run is your car generally does tighten up because that fuel load goes off, and so the car starts sliding the nose just a little bit. So it might be coming back to him now. Vince, what's going on there?
That's exactly right, Dale. They just came on the radio and they were talking about the fact that the leaders are backing up to them and the fact that Jeff Burton's car is getting better in the long run. Shane Wilson said, that's good. We'll make sure it's better at the front of the run and we'll be all set to go. So far, it's getting better for Jeff Burton after a very loose start.
Thanks, Vince. Here's a couple of guys that were very familiar with each other at Daytona. These two, the contact triggered the major multi-car accident. Jason Leffler on the inside of Stephen Wallace, as the two guys are running for 14th and 15th position.
Isn't this always the way it works? The guys that get together the week before always seem to find each other the next race.
Every time I ever had a problem with anybody, whether it's my fault or the other guy's fault, we always qualified beside each other. We'd have to be in the truck riding around the pace lap or the pre-race deal before the race. And so if you hadn't aired it out before, that gave you a perfect chance. But these guys are smart. They gave each other a little bit of room, and they forgot about last week.
That was a nice, clean pass. Guys, keep it clean because we're going to go to commercial, or at least until we come back. We're about 10 laps away from pit stops. As the sun's going down and the track is changing, who's going to change what tires and what on the car when we come back?
The NASCAR Nationwide Series in California. Coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. We are just past the 70-mile mark of the 300 in tonight's race. And there's the man who's led them all so far, Kyle Busch, out in front in that Gibbs Racing 18 Toyota by some 7 seconds over second place Carl Edwards. They're coming up on the first set of pit stops. And as we check out our race recap, well, Kyle, he doesn't really have a whole lot he needs done to this race car.
There, bud, what you got? Still pretty decent. If you want to play with it, maybe you can play with some right front air down on track bar or something. See if you can get more grip to it on new tires. I don't care.
If you want to play with it, Rusty and Brad.
I tell you, he is awful close. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't play a whole lot. Although, we got to remember one thing now. Track's getting cooler. The track is going to change. So, I mean, these guys are pretty smart. They're probably going to try to stay up with the racetrack to keep the car going quick.
All I'm going to say is thank goodness we have a pit stop coming up because he is gone. Maybe they'll tighten up the field just a little bit. Carl Edwards has to get up on the wheel, and he usually does. After the first round of pit stops, they'll make their second adjustments as we go into dark or it gets a little cooler. And I think Carl may be able to run him down, but he's flying.
What's that like to be in that 60 car and watch that 18 sailing away?
Well, right now it means you're second best. That's about it. I mean, he's sitting back. He's probably thinking what he wants to make on a pit stop, the next stop, what kind of changes. And in my mind, this is a fairly short race. These guys need to take a big swing at it and make a bigger change in order to get up in the game.
Well, they're going to have a chance to take a swing at it in about another lap and a half. That's what we're hearing from pit road before Kyle Busch brings that 18 car down the pit lane. So, Doc, we'll set it back up to you with an 8-second lead between first and second. Wow.
Wow, he has opened up. What do I say? He's opened up on the field?
Some kind of can or something.
Yeah, he's opened up a can. Here comes Kevin Harvick, by the way, just taking a third spot away a moment ago from Greg Biffle. Harvick, we mentioned from nearby Bakersfield, has never won at the home racetrack, coming down at 55 miles an hour for her first stop of the day. Headed to you, Shannon.
Doc, California native Kevin Harvick pulls his car into his pit stall. He says he's really strong off the corners. He's just a little bit loose on the track. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment on this 33 car. You see those guys working on the right side right now. Kevin Harvick's guys doing a great job for him as they move around to the left side. Kevin Harvick looking for that first win in that 33 car, hoping to get it here tonight.
You see him on the left side in the 18. So what kind of playing are they going to do? They decided to go a half round down on the track bar, right front air pressure adjustment, and that will be it. He said the car's pretty decent, so he doesn't want to mess with it too much. That's Kyle Busch, guys.
Be hard for me to adjust on that race car. They're just going to put tires on it right now.
Vince. Looking at the 29 of Jeff Burton. Remember, his car was real good at the end of the run. They made a wedge adjustment and also an air tire pressure adjustment to snug it up in the first half of the run in Oak Clean.
And nearly contact there. Leffler coming into pit road, trying to get service on his Toyota. No question here, Andy. With this racetrack and the grip levels you got to put 4 tires every chance you get.
Well, especially under green here too, Doc, because they have to put a full load of fuel, and that takes just about the amount of time that it takes to put 4 tires on. That would not be the time for 2 tires. Here comes Carl Edwards to you, Shannon.
Andy, tight is the condition that Carl Edwards has been fighting all weekend with his 60 car. He's still fighting it on the track here today. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. Carl Edwards, of course, going for the championship. As you see that wedge, it looks like in that back of the car for Carl Edwards to try to loosen him up a little bit on the racetrack.
These guys would have really liked to have had a caution.
And there's Michael Waltrip sitting backwards in his pit. Facing the wrong direction. The car's looped around, and they're going to have to adjust.
You can service the car like this. As long as he's in the box, he can do that.
Be on their toes, man. I'm in the box. Hit it.
Well, Michael's telling them, pit it. He's in the box.
Well, I'd say excuse me for being a little shocked by the way you parked it in here.
Yeah, they don't give style points, but you're in here, so go ahead and put 4 tires on it.
Well, it just throws everybody's rhythm off everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking is, you know, well, he's going to have to turn around before we do this.
Before he takes off. Go, 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 go.
That was simple enough.
Yeah, there we go.
See Brad Keselowski on the right side of your screen there getting his service.
Let's see if we can show you what happened with Michael Waltrip coming down pit road and how that backward sequence began.
So you got a little congestion here.
Oh, he got clipped.
Oh, yeah. He got hit hard right there.
Brandon Witt, the 61 car.
Yeah, and Brandon Witt's got a lot of damage on the right front as well.
Nice job getting it in the box, though. I'll give Michael that.
The thing is pit crew's just shocked. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They don't know whether they should go over, whether he should turn around. Everything is backwards. What do you do?
It's unfortunate. Michael was having a good run there. It's going to cost him a lot of time. And I was getting ready to say that these guys really would have loved to have had a caution before this point in time so they could really work on these cars. You see the damage from that contact there. They would really like to have made, if they wanted to put a spring rubber in or take one out. It's hard to do that. You can take it out on a green flag stop, but you really can't put one in, Andy.
Well, a second on a green flag stop costs you a lot of distance, a lot of real estate. When you're under caution, you can just close right back up. You might lose a spot or two, but you're not going to lose, you know, a half a straightaway by making a change like that.
This guy's covering a lot of distance in a hurry, Kyle Busch.
First sequence of pit stops are completed. Kyle Busch, by the way, has led 41 of 44 laps. Brad Keselowski led 2 laps during pit stops, and Carl Edwards led a lap while Kyle Busch was on pit road. Back with more from Fontana in just a moment.
Here we go. DJ, don't you play nothing slow.
While we continue under green from California, Kyle Busch the leader. We remind you of the other motorsports action coming up throughout the weekend here on ESPN2. NHRA Arizona Nationals qualifying tonight, finals tomorrow night. Our NASCAR Now Sunday morning pre-race show tomorrow from here in California, and then our Monday roundtable, wrapping up all the weekend's action, and then it's off to Las Vegas for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. That's next Saturday at 4 Eastern Time. That's what's coming up on the ESPN family of networks racing-wise. Kyle Busch has opened up a 10-second lead on second place. Time for our nationwide up to speed. And Jamie, not all of that was actually on the racetrack.
No, it wasn't. They were pretty quick in the pits as well. And of course, he got on the radio and talked to the team and wanted to know how good he's doing.
What's the lead now, Jason? 11.5. Wow. Yeah, we're clicking him off, dude. Don't need to do too much. Yeah, we picked up about 4.5 there on pit road. Good job, guys.
Just a reminder, this is the same car that he dominated last time they were here, led 144 of 155 laps, won from the pole, and so far it's the same deal all over, Shannon.
Jamie, we've already spoken about how consistent Kevin Harvick here is here on this track. In qualifying, he said that the car was way, that's a lot of ways, way too loose. Now they've tried to work on it here in the race because the loose condition's still consistent. They took some air pressure out of the car for Kevin Harvick. So far, so good. Jamie?
And behind him right now, Greg Biffle, 3 years, 75 races to be exact, since he went to Victor Lane in the Nationwide Series. Eddie Perdue, as crew chief, said, I think we're due. And Greg Biffle, of course, happy with the car, made a wedge adjustment on that last stop. Shannon?
Carl Edwards pretty happy with the car. He said he just needs to be a little freer. It's the tight conditions that they're battling out there. They did make an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment on that last pit stop. Dan Stillman looking on. Second race as crew chief for Carl Edwards, doing a pretty good job. Jamie?
And Brian Vickers certainly made up some time since the beginning of the race. He started 12th, is 5th right now. They feel they're due as well. This guy's gone through it. Of course, he got the pole yesterday in the Cup Series, and he traded out the motor and went to the back. So he's looking for a victory, and there's a caution on the track. Turn 2, guys.
Caution's out.
Got a big fire on the backstretch off turn 2. It's Michael McDowell.
Heavy contact for McDowell, and he's trying to get the car down to the inside. Lots of flames inside the car.
He needs to get that car to a stop and get out of it because that...
See the fire truck coming as quickly as he can get there to get the car pulled over and get out, Michael.
He's broken an oil line or a fuel line.
Completely exploded.
Good to see Michael jump right out of there.
Yeah, Michael's a pretty good sized guy, so sometimes a little more difficult to get out of there, but he did a nice job. Hate to see it after a great qualifying effort.
Top finishing rookie last week at Daytona, 14th place finish, only his 7th ever start in the series, and he said it just blew up in a big way.
Yeah, it sounded like he might have been talking about a tire, possibly. He said it exploded.
So we'll see here that the car's hit the wall. See, he does hit the wall there. I don't know if it was a tire, maybe ran over something.
That thing was already on fire before he hit, though.
Could have blown up.
Yeah.
The engine could have blown up, and then he got in the oil,
out
got
the
in
bottom,
there.
yeah.
That is a lot of fire. Yeah, that oil makes an intense fire when you put a lot of air on it, like you see here, with still going about 50 or 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, terrible feeling as a driver to be sitting in there. You're wanting to stop. You're trying to find a fire truck to make sure that you, since he can drive it and get there, but you just want to get out of there as quickly as you possibly can. You see, Michael did a great job of getting out of there and getting too close to the fire truck so the fireman could get that put out.
There were only 14 cars on the lead lap, and now there'll be 15. Stephen Wallace is the Aaron's lucky dog, free pass winner, so he was the first car lap down, and he'll be able to go back around the pace car and get back on the lead lap, and he'll be right behind his teammate Brendan Gaughan in 14th position. So the Rusty Wallace car is 14th and 15th here after the first caution flag of the night. Kyle Busch, if you just joined our coverage, Kyle started on the outside front row, but led the first 40 consecutive laps prior to his pit stop. He has now led 49 of the 52 laps tonight. And here they come down pit road. Let's go down to Dave Burns.
David Rudeman running 12th. They will put 4 tires on the 10 car. They will make a chassis adjustment as well for David Rudeman. The car was fairly decent that time, but they needed an adjustment again. Vince?
Well, the 29 of Jeff Burton there in the middle of your screen. They're going to make a tire pressure adjustment in the left front, going down a ½ pound. It's been a good stop the first time around for Burton. He likes his car. Jamie Little?
Kyle Busch, lower left set. You know, it's a little tight, but when I put extra wheel in it, it responds. So let's just leave it as is, boys. Putting on 4 sticker tires for the 18 car. Guys?
Jamie, Kevin Harvick says the car is still a little bit loose. They're going to take 2/10 of air out of the right rear as those guys are working on the left side, looking for a solid pit stop. Here for the 33 car, a little bit slow. And the number 1 car, the 18 wins the battle up pit road.
There's the stampede off pit road. Kyle Busch continues to be our leader. Mike Bliss, a little bit of strategy. Gains 7 positions. Carl Edwards up a spot. Kevin Harvick, an adjustment. He will lose 3. Back to the green flag in just a moment.
Surprise, surprise.
Typical night in Southern California for NASCAR stock cars. Close calls on pit road, a little contact, and how about some hot cars on the racetrack? Some hotter than others, and Michael McDowell erupting an engine in his Toyota, and he climbs out okay. NASCAR Nationwide Series action, the Stater Brothers 300. We are at lap 55 of 150, working caution for the first time tonight. And I've seen engines blow, but it looked like that one just exploded like it was almost on fire, as DJ said, before it ever hit the wall.
I haven't seen one blow up like that in quite a long time. You know, usually these cars stay fairly contained, or the engines do when they blow up. But, man, that one didn't. That one just erupted.
Well, you saw the fire erupt on the 47 car, and let's explain how that happens and what all's involved as we go down to our ESPN Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Doc. Folks, the connecting rods and the pistons, they go in the engine looking like this. But when they come through the side of the oil pan, they have a tendency to look like this. And what happens, they actually come out here and cut the oil lines in two. When they cut the oil lines, you got these headers right here. They're about 1,400 degrees, red hot. And that's what ignited all that oil. And that's the reason when you see the rods coming out looking like that, DJ, is going to be a big eruption of fire.
Yeah, Tim, you could actually see some of the parts and pieces flying out of that car after it blew up. You still see them right here in our shot. A lot of pieces of that motor coming apart.
DJ, how does he see anything inside that car?
It's really hard. You basically don't. You're going by memory more than anything right there, and you're just turning it left and hoping that everybody behind you is going to dodge you. And, again, you're just trying to get this thing out of the way and slow down where you can get out as quickly as possible.
Good news is Michael McDowell able to climb out okay. In fact, he, even though he's a rookie driver, he was putting the window net down and unhooking before the car was even stopped because of the fire. And kudos to the safety crews for NASCAR. They were on their way to that car before it ever got stopped and were able to help the driver and put the fire out. Back in a moment. Gorgeous night here for racing for the NASCAR Nationwide Series action at California, presented by GoDaddy.com. We are working caution number 1 on the night. Lap 51, the incident with the 47 car, Michael McDowell, and some near misses on pit road a moment ago. Kevin Harvick coming in and trying to get service on his Chevrolet. Now watch him pull in and watch the 60 car of Carl Edwards.
See, the pit crew here has to do a little dance to get around the car, and that can cost you a little time and also your rhythm. You get off just a little bit right there, and it can hurt the rest of the pit stop. See right here, you need to get in that pit stall as quick as possible, and Carl's trying just to get into his stall. Everybody's okay, but it does cost him a little bit of time.
Let's talk to Kevin Harvick, being shown right now back in the 5th position.
Kevin, Dale Jeff, the ESPN. You got me?
Hello, Dale.
Hey, man, the good news is looks like your race car is really fast on the racetrack. Have you made any adjustments, or is it just that good?
Reeve Chevrolet's been really good. It's been a little bit loose, but we've made about a half a pound of air pressure adjustment since we started the race. So just got to make it happen on pit road so we can have a chance at the 18, or we'll never get to find out how fast it is.
I hear you on that. Hey, Kevin, we've heard some other drivers talk about in anticipating the track cooling off and as we get dark here, that their cars have loosened up. Have you seen any of that, or are you anticipating that the track's going to tighten up some?
We've gotten a little bit better as the night has gone on, so hopefully it keeps going that way. Obviously, you know, it could swing either way here now that it's all the way dark, but the last run on the car was a little bit better than it was the first run.
All right, man, thanks. Go up there and get that 18. Make a good race for us here.
10-4, thanks.
Hey, Ernie Cope, Andy Petrie, have you got us?
I got you.
Hey, Ernie, we saw Mike Bliss just take 2 tires there on that last pit stop, and he's lined up in front of you. How do you think that's going to work here at this point of the race?
Not sure. We're just going to have to wait and see. We just felt we got a good race car, and we didn't want to take a chance with 2. We just want to keep our balance and put on 4.
Okay, Ernie, you guys have good luck, and we'll watch how this works out for the 1 car for maybe later. Good luck.
Hey, thanks, Andy.
Couple laps to Green Flag Racing back here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Kyle Busch with Bliss, Edwards, Biffle. Got to watch Harvick and Burton on the restart here. We'll come back and wave the green in just a moment.
Welcome back to California Auto Club Speedway, joined now by Kyle Busch's crew chief. 6 months that you've been back here, Jason Ratcliffe. So, Jason, you're looking at the board here. You have Harvick, Biffle. You guys have enough to hold them off to the end?
I think so. I've been keeping an eye on them, though. They're pretty quick. Kyle's pretty happy with the car. We've been just looking for some grip, you know. So we did a little air pressure adjustment on that last run. Hopefully that'll pay off. But yeah, there's quite a few good cars here. It's going to be tough, but our Z-Line Toyota's been good all night, and hopefully we can keep it up front.
Well, Doc, he's going for his 2nd win in 1 day.
Thanks, Jamie. Let's listen in to the spotters as Kyle Busch brings him down, and we go full throttle.
Stay ready. Green flag, green flag, green flag. Clear. He's stuck. Inside's covered. 1 back to the 16 nearly. Still clear low. Outside. Out here. Outside. Just shooting him. Clear about half. Still there. To you. 62 still out there. 11 still there. At your door on the bottom at your bumper. Still there. All clear. All clear. Still out there.
Kyle Busch pulling away. There's the interval in a single lap over Carl Edwards, although Carl is digging, and here comes a 16 behind him, Greg Biffle.
See all the dust from the cleanup from the blown engine of Michael McDowell. I think a couple has to blow that off, but Kyle Busch did just jolt right out there and get a big lead right off the bat.
Man, he's able just to go on the start. That's what these other guys are having a difficult time. They're having to give up something on the front end to make sure their car's good on the back end, and Kyle Busch just driving away from them. We've got a lot of racing going on back behind these guys. Michael Waltrip and some guys trying to get themselves in the position for the lucky dog. We see Jeff Burton here. And Kevin Harvick battling for that 4th spot. Mike Bliss there in the one just behind them. He took on the 2 tires. We'll just have to see how that plays out.
I don't think it's going to work too good for Mike Bliss, but just behind him is Brian Vickers. And he had one of the best cars on the racetrack for a lot of the run, that last run. You see right here, he's looking inside of Mike Bliss.
So the 6 car, David Reagan, right behind this battle.
Yeah, this is 6th, 7th, and 8th on the screen. Reagan pulling in there. Toyota for Vickers, Chevy for Bliss, and Ford for Reagan. Behind him is Brad Keselowski. There he is in the GoDaddy.com Chevy, the 88 car.
We talked about Brad not having much luck at this racetrack over the years. Whoa, Mike Bliss really had to get out of it right there.
Something's wrong with Mike Bliss. He got out of the throttle. He got a left rear tire down. He only took right side tire.
Well, that's a chance that you take, and you had to drive through all of that stuff. We saw those parts and pieces come out, Andy.
That's the biggest thing about changing 2 tires in that situation, because that engine blew up there, and it was a lot of parts and pieces out there. And now he's got a left rear flat.
Guys, left side tires. Left side tires. Flat tire.
This team, Mike Bliss, running for the championship this year, so a costly, I guess you rolled the dice and it bit him.
Yeah, it did. It's just it's one of those things, you know, I've learned over the years that you really need to get 4 tires after you have something like that, a big crash with a lot of debris, a blown engine that throws stuff everywhere like we saw coming out right there. Tire lets go on Mike Bliss. Lucky to keep the car out of the wall, actually.
Well, exactly right.
Let's go on board with this car and listen in.
Fair by 2. Hold it up there. Come on. Still coming. Still coming. Get ready, guys. What's the matter?
Lonely feeling up there when the cars are just sailing by and not much you can do, and you can't run it hard because you don't want to tear a fender off.
Yeah, and he was very lucky, as Andy said. That was the fastest part of the racetrack where that happened, going down into turn 1. Mike did a nice job. As you said, he's trying to get back to pit road as fast as he can, but you just can't drive it very fast. It's either going to throw the rubber off there and tear up your car, or you're going to spin out. So you really just have to be patient and get there and try to hope things go better for the rest of the race.
10 car there, that is the efforts of David Rudeman. Behind him is Leffler, and they are battling for 10th position.
These are 2 of the Braun Racing cars, teammates.
Check in on the 10 car, Dave.
And guys, what they wanted to do on that pit stop was get the back end of that car up in the air just a little bit more. Their last pit stop, they were able to correct the tight in the middle of the corner, but it made the car too loose going into the corner, and so David couldn't arc it in the way he had earlier in the race. They think they've achieved that, and he's picked up a couple of positions since the restart.
David Rudeman will drive about 6 races in this car, and Bernie Lamar will also be driving, as he will be driving also some in the 32 car, the other Braun car.
So they're talking about getting the back end of that car up, and the way that you can do that, which is going to help you aerodynamically by getting it up there. But there is a maximum height that you can have, so they have to be really careful in making that kind of adjustment with those screw jacks.
Yeah, they have a little leeway after the race for these adjustments you're talking about on pit road, where you need to be able to turn these jack screws, which will change the height of the car, and NASCAR gives them just a little bit of leeway on that.
The battle for 7th place here with Brad Keselowski. We were just getting ready to talk when Bliss blew his tire. This hadn't been a great racetrack for Brad, but he's having a nice run here as he's trying to get to past David Reagan and take over that 7th spot.
Yeah, we talked to Brad during our NASCAR Countdown show, and he was certainly lamenting about the fact that in 5 previous races here, his best finish is 32nd.
Yeah, and I talked to Tony Uri Singer yesterday, and he said that they went a different direction than what Brad has liked here in the past in the front end. And he was talking about the springs, and I won't get into telling what he told me because that would, give a lot of people something else. But they did change what they've normally run, and it's a lot better for Brad here. Vince?
Well, they were really loose early on. In fact, Brad Keselowski said that it was 6 or 7 on a scale of 10 in looseness, but they've made some track bar adjustments each of the 2 pit stops, the last 2 pit stops, and the car is getting a lot better. And you see, started 13th, up to 7th, and he says the car is as good as it's been all night long. Shannon?
Vince right behind the 88 in that 6 car. David Reagan really happy with this car. They did not make any changes on the last pit stop, but I'll tell you right now, he's running 8th. This is not going to be good enough for this team. Mike Kelly told me that they were not happy with the 8th place finish last week in Daytona. He said because we are running for an owners championship, we have to go for wins, and because of that, says we are willing to take gambles for this 6 car to get to victory lane. Doc?
David Ragan having an awfully good run, and as you see this 6 car, we mentioned at Daytona that David was only going to run 20 races. He will actually share this car with Eric Darnell, and we want to pass along our sympathies to the Darnell family. Eric lost his mom early in the week, and they are back in Illinois for services. I understand Jack Roush will be sending a plane up on Monday for a lot of the crew guys that want to be able to go up there and pay their respects. But our deepest sympathies to the Darnell family. Eric Darnell, who will start driving this car at Richmond in May, losing his mom early in the week. Kevin Harvick in the 33 car, moving in on the 32. That is for 5th position. Brian Vickers looking back at Harvick in the Chevy. And one of the big question marks, guys, coming into the night was how would the R07 engine perform? First time ever out of the box for the R07 in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And it's been a bit of a struggle so far.
You have to look back to 4th spot to find the first one in the running order. I don't really believe that it's the engine that shows up so much here. It's such a handling racetrack. And this Joe Gibbs team has just been so well getting their car balanced and done such a good job. And you see Kevin Harvick, he's got a pretty decent car too, but and he's got the new engine. But these two engines, the R07 and the Toyota engine, are very similar.
Yeah, not that the rest of these guys aren't really good race drivers either, but that Gibbs team also has Kyle Busch, who seems to be, pretty good here also.
Couple of former winners here, left side of your screen. The Biff, 3-time winner, and going by or trying to go by. Guy won here back in the fall of 07, Jeff Burton.
Looks like Jeff Burton's got his car adjusted a little bit now. It's going the right way.
Yeah, the first run, he had fallen back pretty rapidly and got about 10 seconds behind in less laps than what we've been here so far. So it looks like his car's better on the short run or the first part of the run, which is exactly what they were trying to do. They put some wedge in the car and seemed like it's better. Now, if it just doesn't fall off, he can continue. You can see him utilizing the apron there down in turns 3 and 4 where he can really carry a lot of speed.
Jeff Burton said this week in the garage here, he said, what's people asking about the impact of no testing in the offseason? He said, like Major League Baseball players have spring training. Football players, you can have a scrimmage, but race car drivers, he said, in order to be sharp, you need to be in a race or in the car. And he said that's why he wanted to run some of these nationwide races early on, because you got to be sharp, and the only way you get there is by being on the track.
Well, and every time he gets in this Nationwide Series car, he is sharp. Here's Justin Allgaier now taking a spot from David Rudiman.
Allgaier is the rookie competitor in the 12 car for Penske, and Rudiman able to use the high line to go back by.
Not giving it up so fast, but this is for the 10th spot. Justin Allgaier's done a great job. How about it, Vant?
Well, that's exactly right. And Chad Walter, his crew chief, has really been helping Allgaier along. Allgaier, in fact, said Chad Walter has been the key to his success early on, particularly in the comfort level. And you say, well, success, he was 32nd last week at Daytona. But remember, he got caught up in that accident and had been running pretty well beforehand, as you see Rudiman giving him a little bump on the back end. But Allgaier, just his 6th nationwide start, his first race here, and he says Chad Walter has helped him get used to the experience of not only competing against these Cup guys on the racetrack, but of what to expect when he comes to a new racetrack. A lot of things expected from Allgaier just because he's racing for Roger Penske, and I think this young guy has not been disappointing at all here in the early going.
Vince, we asked Allgaier about what he has learned from the other veteran Penske drivers.
Roger's very, very image conscious, and so for me that's been a big part of it. But also too, each one of the drivers has given me little bits of advice as to things that I can do better to, inside the organization, or things that I can do better on the racetrack. So, I've gotten a lot of things that I can take forward and use, and hopefully be racing with them one day in the Cup Series, and use that information maybe to come back on them.
A lot of potential for this young man. Won the ARCA title a year ago. And Roger Penske believes this young man has a lot of talent. Maybe can get to victory lane early on in his rookie season in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Just past the halfway. Back in a moment.
All I care about. To win in the NHRA, they max tune to 8,000 horsepower. Sometimes it's a little too much, like right here. And you drive it to a stop. How about Ashley Forrest Hood, who hit the extinguishers and drove through it? NHRA qualifying from Phoenix at midnight.
And the NHRA action, just part of a busy weekend of motorsports here on ESPN2. That qualifying tonight, midnight Eastern. NASCAR Now California pre-race edition tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Then the drag racing finals tomorrow night. NASCAR Now Roundtable on Monday, 5 Eastern. And then it's off to Vegas, baby, for the NASCAR Nationwide Series next Saturday at 4 Eastern time. All that coming up here on ESPN2. And from the pit studio, Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, Brad Daugherty just past halfway. Front of the pack, Kyle Busch has opened up a 3-second lead on Carl Edwards. Here's a little race for 8th spot. David Reagan in the 6, Brad Keselowski in the 88.
Tell you what, Kyle Busch has just been so strong tonight. It's unreal. We heard earlier on his radio, he's just out there playing with them right now. He's got such a strong car. But Carl Edwards is continually working on his chassis, trying to get better. You see Brad Keselowski right there on the outside of David Reagan. He's had a good, solid night all week, all day long also.
And after spotting Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards points at Daytona when he had that wreck late in the race while he was running so well, Keselowski really needs to break that California jinx here tonight and have a good finish.
He's having an outstanding run. This will be great for his confidence. You're absolutely right. Throw Daytona out, come here to this weekend, get a good solid finish, and move on. Brad's doing a super job. Only problem is Kyle Busch has punched the clock. Checked out on these guys.
Now, I know there's going to be someone out there shouting at their TV just a second ago that it's only the second race of the season. What are you talking about points for? Well, we've seen these championships lost by, 10, 5, 3 points.
What happened to Carl Edwards last year?
And you know what I tell him? I tell him, hey, baby, that's the way we roll here in NASCAR. I mean, you got to think about points all the time. Very important.
Every race counts, that's for sure. Kyle Busch has led all but 3 laps of this race. Earlier today, he led 95 of 100 laps in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race here en route to a win. Now he's led all but 2 of the 84 laps we've run so far. Carl Edwards says, hey, I'll come up there and race with you for a little bit. Kyle says, I don't think so.
Carl says, at least come back to him and race a little bit.
If I do that, he's going to lead a lap. Aren't we battling for the championship a little bit here? Sorry, buddy.
See? Kyle Busch talking about championship and points. Of course, maybe what he doesn't know is Carl has led a lap during an exchange of pit stops already.
Well, Alan, you just got to. I mean, these points championships come down to a mere small amount of points. I mean, you got 190-some points to win this thing. And, I mean, these guys have lost these points championships by 10 points or less in the past. So you got to think about it all the time. Lead the most laps. Get those bonus points. Do what you got to do. That's what he's doing right now.
2.7 seconds, that gap from Kyle Busch back to Carl Edwards. And by the way, Kyle leading at halfway. The leader at halfway has gone on to win the last 4 races here. Gotta like it if you're a Kyle Busch fan, not if you're a Carl Edwards. A gentleman who had a tough night tonight is with Dave.
And Alan, we speculated about what might have happened in the moments that led up to the wall contact for Michael McDowell. Michael, was it motor or something else?
No, honestly, it felt like I just spun out of my own oil there, and then it sort of erupted. But the motor was still running while I was on fire there, so I don't think the motor blew up. But it's just real unfortunate for everybody at JTG Daugherty, and we had Pacific Packaging on the car this weekend, and we had a great qualifying effort. We're looking for a good show, and it sort of went up in flames.
And you're okay?
Oh, I'm doing great. Everybody at Sparco builds real safe suits, and they give you lots of time to get out of there.
Michael's okay. He's already phoned his wife, Jamie, who is expecting their first child in less than 2 weeks, Doc.
And we wish them well. Boy, Michael McDowell does everything in spectacular fashion. Remember the contact in the COT car at Texas last year? Oh, my.
How could you forget that? Yeah. Pretty big, but he'll be back next week at Las Vegas, ready to do it again, to see a great battle going on right here. Justin Allgaier there in the 12 car. Jason Leffler trying to take that 10th spot away from him.
Logano up high. There's Joey, the 18-year-old.
Leffler makes the pass.
I'm a little surprised that this 20 car hasn't been better tonight, as we've seen this 18 car really just check out on these guys. You got to think their setups are similar. I would expect this 20 car to be a little better.
Yeah, we expect a lot out of him.
Yeah.
You know that, and he's a young guy that doesn't have a lot of experience at these racetracks. And this is a very, very difficult racetrack, and that's why these cars get spread out so much here, because of that. And if you even sometimes with the experience, it doesn't help. But he's got a good race car. He's doing a good job. It's just in comparison to his teammate, it looks like he's not running all that well.
Yeah, he's still in the top 10.
Yeah.
I guess it's all relative.
DJ, that's the key. You talk about managing expectations for Joey Logano. I mean, he came here last year, ran only 1 race here last fall in August, qualified 3rd, finished 6th, and they were concerned about maybe having a disappointing day.
Well, and it is. You have to understand that they're accustomed to winning with this race car. But let's look at the drivers that were driving it: Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch. Yeah, these guys are the ones that aren't champions are going to be, but they've won Cup races, so they have a lot more time in these type of race cars. So we expect a lot again out of him, and he's not going to disappoint us as we go on forward.
This is for a spot right here with Greg Biffle and Brian Vickers. I mean, Brian Vickers had a great run in the middle part of the race, but they've adjusted on this car. Now he's just not as good as he was. But he seems like as they run long runs, his car seems to come around.
Yeah, you're right. That's when it seems he just doesn't have the speed at the beginning of a run. See him get right to the bumper of Greg Biffle there. So his car really going through the center of the corner, but he was a little late getting back to the throttle that particular time. Looks like he's wanting to run the bottom, and that's where Biffle is, so it's going to make the pass a little more difficult. He's going to have to ease out of it a little bit more, not get quite as close there, and try to pick the throttle up to make that pass. You can see he gets right there again.
Whoa, they're going to make some contact right there.
Definitely. There goes Vickers.
And all the way on the outside.
Lock it down, lock it down, lock it down. Go to the bottom, go to the bottom.
That's how not to do it.
Hold on to it right there, lock the brake. Roll it behind you here.
Second caution flag today, and Brian Vickers trying to make the pass. Greg Biffle trying to protect the position.
He was just trying to force his car down on the bottom side of the racetrack, try to get that spot, or actually get the position on the racetrack. He felt like if he could get that position going in, that Greg would have to give it up.
Yeah, and he actually got down on the apron with the left side tires, and then as Biffle came down a little bit more, it forced him to turn the wheel a little bit more, and that's what got him loose. You can see here, Biffle's just going to his spot. He actually gets down 2 wheel. Vickers has all 4 tires below the white line, and there's just not much grip there. And as he had to put more wheel trying to stay off of Greg Biffle, the car just got away from him then. We're on board here with Brian Vickers. See his car's really fast down into the corner. You can hear him getting that throttle, trying to play with it, but
lock it down, lock it down, lock it down.
He was out of control by then.
Go to the bottom, go to the bottom.
Well, the good news is he didn't make contact with the wall. They can beat that fender back out, get some tires on it. Hey, we needed a caution anyway.
Second yellow flag of the night here in Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, and the lucky dog will actually go to the 11 car, Scott Lagasse Jr. And he was running in 15th position. He will now be able to get back on the lead lap. He was the first car being shown 1 lap down. The Harris Lucky Dog free pass.
Yeah, Scott had done a nice job. He had battled Michael Waltrip for that spot early in that run and kept the spot away from him. So he did a nice job there to get back on the lead lap now.
See, not much damage at all right there. Just a little bit of rub on that right front. Get in here and get some tires.
Yeah, he's actually coming in early. You can see he's got flat tires before one of the tires comes apart and messes up the body of the race car. He'll have to start at the tail end of the longest line here for pitting too early.
You see the wedge wrench going in the window. That's actually the track bar they're adjusting.
You think that's because he's staying a little loose?
Yes, it might be. I know he was loose underneath Greg Biffle.
He'll start toward the back of the pack because he did come in early, and here are the leaders' pits as they're waiting on Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick. And
these guys, these guys here, Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards, need to work on their cars. And Jeff Burton, try to do something to try to catch this 18-car Kyle Busch.
What do?
You got to do something. I don't care what it is. You got to adjust on the race car. Don't just take it. You got to do something.
Might want to run down to the 18 pits and pull a plug wire off or something.
Yeah, that'd work.
Let's go down to Vince.
Well, Shane Wilson reminding Jeff Burton 55 mile per hour on the pit lane. They are going to snug up the right rear. Right side track bar adjustment. He says it's turning through the corners good, but just a little more grip in the rear. Jamie?
No adjustments for the 18 car. 4 tires and a small piece of tape on that front grille. He said, I like it. Down below, you see the 16. Greg Biffle said the car is better. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. He said it's getting tighter as it goes. Shannon?
Carl Edwards says he thinks he feels a vibration in the right front. He's still a little bit tight. There's a track bar adjustment. 4 tires for Carl Edwards in that 60 car.
There comes the 18, and it'll beat Carl Edwards off, and Jeff Burton is third. Reagan up a couple of spots. Great pit stop by the bunch there. Mike Kelly in the 6th crew under caution, and again Kevin Harvick will lose a couple of spots on pit road. Back with the green in a moment.
The
The NASCAR Nationwide Series from California. Our coverage presented by GoDaddy.com on a beautiful Saturday evening in Fontana, California, looking down on the speedway with our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. For track-tested technology, get there on Goodyear Innovation. How about that? Wheels on a blimp. That's innovation.
That is pretty good innovation, no doubt about that. But boy, what about some bad luck for Justin Allgaier? He gets caught for speeding entering and speeding exiting. He's running 10th. A lot of track position he's lost now.
And a little repair work going on the front of the 20 car for Joey Logano, Shannon.
Alan, a little front-end damage for this 20 car. They don't know what they hit. Joey Logano said under one of the cautions, he saw something fly up from the car in front of him. He thought it might have been a piece of tape at first, but there's definitely a hole in that front end of the car. So you see those guys put a little tape on there just to get them all fixed up.
Might have been one of those bits and pieces from Michael McDowell's engine that were bouncing around the racetrack before.
Absolutely could have been, but as you see now, about 55 laps to go here, we're going to have the cream rising to the top. You got Kyle Busch, Edwards, Burton, Reagan, Biffle, and Brad Keselowski throwing a little bit of Kevin Harvick, Stephen Wallace, and Jason Leffler. The boys are up front and ready to go to work.
But they have not been able to do anything.
It's going to change right now.
With Kyle Busch so far, Doc, he's led all but 3 laps, and he's coming to a restart that'll be with 55 to go.
Thanks, guys. 15 cars on the lead lap, and he just saw Joey Logano by virtue of that late pit stop in the tape. He will be the last car on the lead lap. Well, does Edwards, Burton, Reagan, those guys may have something for Kyle or not?
I haven't seen any evidence of it so far.
I think they've been playing possum a little bit with him so he wouldn't adjust on that car.
Yeah, we'll see.
Most possums I've seen are dead.
I was going to ask Brad if he'd been seeing something too, if the cream's going to rise to the top. I think it's already got up there on this with this show as we go back to green.
Kyle Busch leads him down. Carl Edwards needs to hang as long as he can, and Kyle just pulling away. Jeff Burton trying to may see some bipartisan cooperation at the front of the field between Ford and Chevy just to try to hang with that Toyota.
Yeah, they got to do something to try to catch Kyle Busch if they can work together here. And one thing that you can do here, I mean, if Jeff Burton looks to be a little faster, maybe Carl Edwards will let him take a shot at Kyle Busch.
Brad Keselowski, we talked about his bad luck here. He's having a great run tonight. Don't want to jinx him. He's 5th right now. And in jeopardy of losing a spot there as Biffle moves in behind him.
Oh, Doc. I believe you did. I believe you jinxed him.
Stay high there. The 16 just flat wrecked him.
Oh, that is just too bad for Brad Keselowski.
I had to open my mouth, didn't I?
Jason Leffler got a piece of that also. Got the right front and right side of his car.
Right into him.
See, these guys think that Greg Biffle was the one that got into Brad Keselowski.
I'm sorry, but I don't know what to do any different than that, guys.
There's a damage on the right front of Leffler's Toyota. He was being shown in the 6th position. Another one of the cars on the lead lap. Keselowski's Chevy was up high, and it looked like Biffle was trying to make a move to the inside. Let's watch the contact.
Well, Biffle just flat wrecked him right there. I'm sure he didn't do it intentionally, but he definitely got into the back of Brad Keselowski and turned him around.
Yeah, Jason Leffler, unfortunately, just the wrong place at the wrong time.
This is what Brad Keselowski felt.
16's right with you there. Stay high there. The 16 just flat wrecked him. Dang, what are you doing that for, man? Do not to him.
It's on board with Jason Leffler here. You can see he can't see a thing.
Gotta be a
smoke there.
That's got to be a helpless feeling, not knowing where to go.
Yeah, it really is. You don't have time to turn. You don't know exactly who's below you. You can't turn it. Just unfortunate.
There's the damage. By the way, nice move by Stephen Wallace to get by on the inside of Leffler. Let's trying to get that car repaired and getting back on the racetrack. There is the 16 of Greg Biffle, the 3-time winner here in NASCAR Nationwide competition at the racetrack.
He's got a little damage on the front of his car. He's got a hole in the nose. May have to address that.
Brad Keselowski had never finished better than 32nd at this racetrack in 5 previous visits. That was all going to change tonight because he was running 5th until a moment ago. And now the damaged car being repaired. Under caution number 3 here at Auto Club Speedway in Southern California. Contact between the 16 car of Greg Biffle and the 88 of Brad Keselowski. There is the leader. There is the 16 car on pit road. Let's listen in to their radio.
I was just inside of him a little bit. He started down the racetrack because he was loose. But I don't know. Probably my fault. I had to look at it. Yeah, it looked like he might have pedaled a little bit there or something.
You see that contact from right behind the 88. Now, we saw some penalties invoked last week at Daytona for contact involving the 38 of Leffler. Would this involve possibly a NASCAR penalty?
Well, it's a little bit different here, Doc, because these guys are just racing hard, and there didn't look like there was an intent there to wreck, try to wreck each other. I think they're just getting together and racing hard, and we're talking about a matter of inches. Jamie?
Yeah, there's no NASCAR officials down here, so they're not looking at Greg Biffle as being at fault. But you see, he's still in his pit box. He's pulling out now. They filled it up with fuel, 4 tires, but he did have some right front damage, pulled out the fender and put some Barabond on there, guys. He's out.
Thanks, Jamie. And DJ, when we look at that in slow motion, did it look to you like maybe the 88 car might have stepped out just a little bit in front of the 16, or is it hard to tell?
Yeah, we heard the spotter talk about it. Looked like he had to pedal a little bit, and what that meant is he had to get out of the throttle just a little, and that can happen. This is NASCAR racing. As we see it right here again, Keselowski going down the backstretch. You see Biffle in behind him, but this is going to happen. All of these cars are pretty loose, especially on these restarts, and as they have fresh tires on. Greg got back to the throttle. He was expecting Brad to be that, and it's going to happen. Nothing intentional there on Greg's part. It's unfortunate, yes, but it's been a part of our sport for a long, long time.
And again, for the fans wondering about penalties, the penalty NASCAR invoked last week at Daytona, we talked to the officials in the garage here this week. They said because they thought that was intentional. There was incidental contact, as you said, in part of racing all the time, and there was no intent involved. And that's, for those of you who know the 2 drivers involved there, we've got to believe that was just simply a racing accident.
Yeah, and there's always going to be at a minimum of 2 different sides to every story, every one of those. But yeah, again, it's unfortunate for Brad Keselowski and Jason Leffler that it tore up their race cars. But again, it's always been a part of our sport.
For you fans that have been watching the junior motorsports team, Brad Keselowski, by the way, back in 29th position now, showing 3 laps down after those repairs on the car, and he will go to the tail end of the longest line. They had a penalty for too many men over the wall while they're trying to make those repairs.
Yeah, they did that, and we didn't see many guys on pit road here. They're still in a position they can't make it from this point.
No, it's 50 laps to go, and it'd be a big time stretch to try to make 50 laps, so that's why you didn't see a lot of them come down.
$100 down, 50 to go. It is Kyle Busch, Edwards Burton, Reagan Harvick, and look who's up in 6th position. After getting a lucky dog, getting back on the lead lap, Stephen Wallace doing a heck of a job in that 66 car.
He's done a nice job all night. He's driven the car to whatever the capabilities were at that time. When it wasn't handling the very best, then he backed off a little. They adjusted, and now they've got him up in the top 10. Kyle Busch just been so good on these restarts. These guys can't even really get to his bumper. They get down into here. This is where Carl has had a difficult time. This is where Kyle really kind of stretches it out. He goes through the corner so fast and carries that speed off the corner then, and that's the last they see of him.
Joey Logano in the 20, that is for position, as he goes down on the inside and goes by Stephen Wallace.
Yeah, that's a position you have to be really careful too. These cars get side by side down into the corner, takes the air off of that car on the inside. Can get really loose in that position.
They're splitting David Green right here, 3 wide.
David Green being shown 1 lap down back in 19th spot. Give a call to the 11 car, Scott Lagasse. You see him there, the highest running rookie competitor right now. He's being shown in the top 10. This would be his first ever top 10 finish in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Vince.
Well, Scott Lagasse qualified 23rd, and he was very disappointed with that. They thought they had a much better car. In fact, he said it felt even slower than 23rd. He said, but hey, we'll look on the bright side. At least we can get the Hard Charger Award. He might just get it. He is having an outstanding
Brendan Gaughan, left side of your screen. He's headed to Vegas early. Look at that car going way up across the racetrack.
He's been on pit road 4 or 5 times there on that last caution. Adjusted on this car. Looks like he's done something to help it a lot. He's got this thing really working in this top groove.
Yeah, don't look now, but Brian Vickers, after that spins, got back up to 8th spot and trying to pass Joey Logano for the 7th.
Vickers on the bottom. Here goes the Chevy of Brendan Gaughan up high, and they're squeezing up in front of Logano.
That was 2 different lines in trying to pass Joey Logano, wasn't it? Vickers down on the apron and Brendan Gaughan up there right against the wall.
That's what I love about this racetrack. It has so much room and such a wide racing surface, and that's not wide enough. They use the apron.
75 feet wide, this racetrack here in California, and a 15-foot apron.
They're using all of it.
Yep. Here we see the front of the field. There's Kyle Busch. He's stretched out to almost a 2.5 lead over Carl Edwards again.
See Logano now trying to work that high groove.
Yeah, he was getting past when he was running on the bottom and a lane up, so he decided to try something different. He saw Brendan Gaughan utilizing that. Shannon?
Joey Logano right now saying that car is bad and tight. But you guys were talking a little bit earlier about how well Kyle Busch is doing here today. And of course, the teammate Joey Logano a little bit further back in the field. I spoke with Dave Rogers, crew chief for Joey Logano this week. He told me that they have a new approach coming into this season. He said last year he used to try to put Joey in the car with either Kyle or Tony Stewart setups. He said this season I'm going to let Joey do what he wants to do. I will adapt the car for Joey. It is his ride.
That's always the best approach, I think. You know, when you got a rookie driver, sometimes they don't really know what they're looking for, so you try to just lead them in the right direction and maybe put a setup that a veteran has developed. But Joey's got enough experience now, knows what he's looking for in the car, and I think that's a good approach.
And in fairness to him, last year, DJ, you know, he could focus totally on the NASCAR Nationwide car. Now he's full-time in Cup, so he has to go back and forth. That's got to be tough on anybody, particularly when you're 18 years old.
Yeah, it is difficult, but what they're trying to do is just get him seat time, and that's going to benefit him more. You heard him talk about his car's very tight right now. He's moved up the racetrack. Running the bottom, you have to put more wheel into it. You have that tight condition that really slows the car down. So, you know, he's smart enough to realize when he has to move around and when his car's not working exactly right, move around on the racetrack to try to find some more speed.
Just like Brendan Gaughan's doing. He's moving up, way up the racetrack now, still working on Brian Vickers.
Brendan Gaughan told me in the garage area yesterday, he said, I love this racetrack. I've won twice here in the NASCAR West Division. I finished 2nd and 3rd in the trucks. Brendan Gaughan finished 4th in the Cup car here back in 2004.
Yeah, on the left side of our screen there, we see David Ragan taking away that 3rd spot from Jeff Burton. David Ragan is a driver that we've talked about is going to win this year, whether it's in the Nationwide Series or the Cup Series or both. He's looking to get that first victory.
My vote would be both.
Yeah, I think, very talented driver. See Brendan Gaughan there working that high side still. That's Michael Annetta in the 15 car. He right now is the first driver a lap down in the 16th spot.
Michael doing a heck of a job in a backup car if you're losing their primary car at a wreck in qualifying.
You can see right behind Brendan Gaughan there is Joey Logano. He moved up the racetrack after Brendan Gaughan passed him, and he seems to have picked up quite a bit of speed.
Brendan Gaughan going home next week to Las Vegas. He will be our in-race reporter. And, boy, if he can get his first top 5 finish, he'll be pumped. He's pumped anyway.
He's pumped anyway. I was down in the garage yesterday and talking to him. It's so much fun talking to him. I mean, he just has so much enthusiasm and appreciation for this opportunity that Rusty gets. We were talking about the paint scheme, how close it was to Rusty's car there, in those days, and he was just so pumped about that. As we see this battle ongoing for the 3rd spot, Jeff Burton trying to take it back from David Ragan.
Top groove seems to be the way some of these guys are using to be able to make the pass here in the late lap.
Yeah, they're just looking for anywhere that their car will go fast. See, Burton, he was trying to make that pass down on the inside. But David Ragan's making that middle to top groove work a little bit better. See, he carried a lot more speed down the straightaway by utilizing that.
The record for the most laps led here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series car is 144 by Kyle Busch back last August. Folks, he has led right now all but 3 of the 110 laps. He can break his own record if he hangs on. Back in a moment.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at California, presented by GoDaddy.com, where you can make the web your domain with a .com name for less than $1 a month. And in part by Nationwide Insurance, official auto insurance partner of NASCAR.
With 37 laps to go, you look down on the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. For track tested technology, get there on Goodyear Innovation. Kyle Busch continues to dominate. Couple things to acknowledge here. On the not so positive side, there'll be some talk tomorrow, I'm sure, about the size of the crowd here tonight. Disappointing would be a fair word to say.
It's a little bit disappointing. There's no doubt about that. When you look at Daytona, we had big crowds and everything looked good here. But everybody here in California are really suffering right now. I mean, they're having a tough time. But still, we got a lot of race fans out here that are really pulling for these guys, and the racing on the track's been real good, except for that guy right there, stinking up the show, like Mr. France used to say.
Well, the people that are here tonight, Brad, are seeing a guy who really, he has a chance to make some history here this weekend.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, we knew when we came out here it was going to be a little bit difficult fan-wise. But, hey, I tell you, this guy right here, Kyle Busch, has been outstanding. He's had a super day today. The Truck Series obviously run away with that right now. He is walking the dog in that little Nationwide hot rod.
So let's see, 2 laps of qualifying this morning on this 2-mile track in the Nationwide car. The 100-lap Camping World Truck Series race. He ran 45 laps of Sprint Cup Series final practice in that car today. Then the 300-mile Nationwide Series race, provided he gets to the checkered flag. That'll be 594 miles on this racetrack in one single day, with another race to run tomorrow.
I'll tell you one doggone thing, Alan. As much money as this guy's been winning, too, he can help pay the stimulus bill. There's no doubt about that.
He loves to race. There's no question.
Yeah, he loves to race. He's doing a great job out there. You know, whether you love him or hate him, he's fun to watch.
Kyle up by 2.4 seconds on Carl Edwards, 6 seconds on this great race for third place. Jeff Burton in the 29, and David Reagan in the 6. Kevin Harvick in the 33, also there in the mix. Vic, what's Burton saying?
Well, Jeff Burton has felt close all night to make a run on that 60, maybe for second place, and then deal with Kyle Busch if they get an opportunity. But right now they're having trouble getting a handle of the car. They made a track bar adjustment on their last pit stop trying to get some more rear grip, and instead Burton says it hurt the rotation through the corner and gave them no more additional rear grip. So they've got some adjusting to do again on their final stop of the night. They're going to be about 5 laps shy on fuel. Doc?
Thanks, Vince. So they will be making one more pit stop tonight, and I guess they're going to throw what they can throw at it to try to be able to see if they can run down Kyle Busch. By the way, you're talking about records as you watch this battle. No driver has ever won 2 National Touring Series races in the same day in NASCAR history. And as you heard earlier, that Kyle Busch led 95 of 100 laps early today to win the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, and has dominated here and is now 33 laps away from making NASCAR history. And no one has ever done the triple in a single weekend.
I was getting ready to say, it's a good thing there's not 3 races today. Go ahead and break that one, too.
Yeah, he'd be in it. And isn't it amazing that, especially over last year and now the start of 2009, how many times we talk about different records, and the guy that we talk about breaking all of these records or setting new records is Kyle Busch. Young man is just phenomenal behind the wheel of a race car or truck, whichever the case may be.
23 years old, and we thought he may be on his way to his first Cup title last year, to dominating the regular season in NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Yeah, he's not even old enough to come out here and rent his own car. Here he is whipping these guys around this racetrack in whatever he gets in. And we talk about Kyle Busch too, and he has really good crews in all of this, making this happen. I mean, the driver obviously has to get in and do a good job and do your part whenever you have cars that good, but he got some really good people. Jamie?
Well, DJ, you guys were talking about, he's fast on the racetrack, but he's also been great in the pits tonight. In 3 pit stops, he's been in the 13-second and 14-second mark. Why? You're looking at his picture on the right there. It's an all-star lineup. These are all guys from the Cup side. However, some of Denny Hamlin's guys, some of Kyle's guys, and of course some of Joey Logano's guys all getting together to pit this car tonight, and so far so good. Jason Ratcliffe told me this is the plan all season long, to keep these Cup guys here to bring home a championship.
It's very important not only for Joe Gibbs and Kyle Busch, but really, DJ, for Toyota to show up well. That's why it's very important for Ford and Dodge and General Motors to run well when they go to Detroit. But this is the headquarters, Torrance, California for Toyota, TRD in Costa Mesa. It is a home game for them, and they want to protect the home turf.
Yeah, they really do. And the drivers were out here this week, had their big deal at TRD. And it is very important. We see 6th place here, changing hands. Joey Logano goes around David Rudiman, take that 6th spot away. So he's working out. Best thing probably happened was seeing Brendan Gaughan up on the top side of that racetrack. And Joey's really making that work as he makes his charge back towards the front. But very important for everyone at Toyota. Dave, what's going on with David Rudiman?
DJ, he's actually been trying to take that 6th position from Joey Logano for about 10 laps here. Doesn't look like Joey wanted to give it up there, but Rudiman finally buying the 10 car. Now they've spent a couple of extra times on pit road. One, to put that hood pin back in on the left front of the car that you guys talked about earlier. They put a piece of tape on it to make sure it held. And they also, avoiding the 88 wreck, they came down on the grass and they had to repair just a little bit on the left front of that car. He's moved up steadily since the restart, picked up 4 spots, and they're about 7 laps shy on fuel at the end of this race.
Well, we are hearing the leader will be coming on pit road in about 9 laps, so we will take our last pit stop and head out for a commercial break and come back and catch final pit stops and the final laps here of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race presented by GoDaddy.com. Stay with us. And we invite you to join us next Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, ESPN2. We go to the show capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. And what a great one we had there a year ago in front of a crowd of over 120,000 NASCAR Nationwide fans. Mark Martin on fresh tires in the final laps. A little nudge of the 60 car, Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski. Martin took the win. 2 years ago, the final lap battle was Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch. Always fun to go to Las Vegas and watch the great NASCAR Nationwide Series action. Total domination for the day for Kyle Busch. Last year, he and his teammate Tony Stewart in the 2 nationwide races led 282 of 300 laps here in the 2 races. "15 cars on the lead lap. Michael Waltrip being shown as the final car on the lead lap.
There's a car running 12th. Last pitted on lap 100. That would make 50 laps that he could, if he could make that on fuel, he could make it all the way to the end. And he may be able to do that. Is that right, Vance?
Well, Chad Walter, the crew chief for Justin Allgaier, he is really sweating it as they're figuring out the fuel mileage. He told me about 10 laps ago they're a half a lap short. They came in and topped off on lap 100. Clearly their strategy, trying to conserve fuel. They tell him, Allgaier on the radio, save fuel at every opportunity. They believe they're going to make it to the end if they can just save a little bit more. And that's the only car I've come across along pit lane that believes they've got a shot at making it to the finish.
Well, Vince, that's the only car that pitted at lap 100 on the lead lap that can make it. The rest of the guys, last time they were on pit road was lap 92, so he has an 8-lap cushion. As you look at the fuel gauges right here, you see how Justin Allgaier, by our calculations, would have a little more fuel than the 2-liter.
Chad Walter, the guy he's talking about, he has a mechanical engineering degree from Cornell on the Ivy League.
He probably knows how to figure gas mileage then.
You think?
Oh, we got trouble here. This is going to change everything. This is great.
All of that.
That's Greg Biffle up against the wall, bringing out caution now for the 4th time tonight.
See, he's had some hard contact with the wall with the left side.
There's Jack Roush. Sure he's disappointed with that.
We can see what happened again to the 16 car.
Looks like it just turned around on Greg there, getting in the corner. Actually, in the middle of the corner.
You know, we showed you earlier that happened in practice yesterday for him, coming out of turn 2, that the car got loose. He was trying to run that high line, and
it's like he's trying to get the car going, but he can't seem to get it started here. Taking his gloves off.
Yeah, he was running in 7th position on the lead lap, and now He'll need some help from the wrecker to come pick up that car. And that means that all these guys will be able to make their final stop under the caution.
Everybody's going to get tires now.
Only shot now, and Carl Edwards has that #1 pit stall down there. If he can get a good pit stop right here and maybe beat Kyle Busch off pit road, that's one thing that could change the complexion of this finish.
Yeah, then we'd have a pass for the lead today, something we hadn't had probably. But, yeah, that would make it a little more exciting. You know, Kevin Harvick's worked his way back up into the 4th spot. He seems to have a really good race car, but he's had some troubles on pit road, too, losing a couple of or 3 spots every time that he's gone in.
The last stop, remember, Carl almost beat the 18 out of the pits. It was really very, very close.
And he's a lot closer. He's right on the bumper of this 18 car coming in, so this is going to be his shot to try to beat this car on pit road.
Free pass went to the 1 car, Mike Bliss. He was the first car lap down. He will be able to get back on the lead lap.
He worked a long time to get by Michael Annett to get that spot. He paid off for him right here.
Yeah, he had that flat tire earlier in the night whenever he cut down that left rear when they just changed 2 right side tires. And then he cut down a left rear, so good break for Mike Bliss and his team.
We just joined our coverage. We've had 3 leaders, 4 lead changes. It's been a Kyle Busch night. He's led 126 of 129 laps thus far. He started on the outside of row 1 after dominating the truck race earlier in the day, leading 95 of 100 laps. So it's been a day that most drivers would dream about. You bring 2 different kinds of race cars to the racetrack and dominate in both.
He's dominated, but he's still got a little bit of work to do here.
Yeah, I didn't see all of the Cup practice, but so far nobody's passed him on the racetrack today.
All right, let's see what's going to happen here on the final pit stop, the money stop. Dave.
David Rudiman gives up 6th position. In addition to the Sunoco fuel they're going to put in his car, on the top of your screen they're going to change 4 tires, take the air pressure down in the left sides to help the car turn. Vince.
Jeff Burton in the car 29, still 2 free. 4 tires, some splash of Sunoco fuel. They're going to go up a pound on the right side air and a right side track bar adjustment for this final stretch run. Jamie?
Watch this all-star crew go to work on Kyle Busch's car. 2/10 of an air pressure adjustment in the right front, 4 tires and fuel. Shannon?
Jamie, it's just going to be 1 can of Sunoco for Carl Edwards in the 60 car. He still needs to be a little bit freer. They're going to go 1 round down on the right rear wedge and 4 tires for the 60.
Let's see what's going to happen. Is the 60 going to get it done? Here he comes. There comes Kyle Busch.
Well, it was close.
That's close.
It was close. I heard numbers say that Carl Edwards got it off pit road.
He was spinning those tires. He might have burned those tires up getting off the pit road, but he got there.
He's only got 20 laps to go here, so
we
he can
need
use
a
a little
reading
bit.
on that. We need a reading on that. Get that official.
Yeah, this is important right here. They want to know who beat who to the line. And right here you see it's definitely Carl Edwards.
Yep, 60 car.
Great job, guys.
Nice stop by those guys.
They got Dan Stillman and the boys getting them fired up down there.
Hey, they're saying we've done all we can do here now. It's up to you, Carl.
We put you out there now.
That's
You got to
right.
stay there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that easy.
Get 5 points here.
That's Dan Stillman sitting right there beside Jack Roush, crew chief.
We're going to be talking a lot about this battle throughout the year. These 2 guys are the 2 Cup guys that are running the full schedule in the Nationwide Series. So we fully expect them to be the guys battling for the championship.
It should be fun getting all the way to Homestead and watch it. Not only these guys, we should have some other cars involved. Some other guys running full time in the series, so it should be fun to watch. 99 car, by the way, we're told will start at the tail end of the longest line. Michael Waltrip had some equipment taken out of the pit box. Kevin Harvick coming off pit road in 3rd position, so a pretty good stop for his bunch. Let's talk to him.
Kevin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have him?
4 Dale.
Well, looks like we had a good pit stop that time. Got you in a position here. Have you got anything for those 2 guys in front of you?
I hope so. We've left the gas out of the thing this time. We've been really loose at the beginning of the run, so hopefully we can get going here. If we can get going halfway through the run, we're fine. So we'll see what happens here. The guys rebounded, had a good pit stop, and Ream Chevrolet's been good all night.
So you're fighting loose mostly. Does that make you have to move around on the racetrack any, Kevin, or have you pretty much been able to run the car still where you want to?
Well, it kind of takes away the option to move around just because it's so free. You know, it's so line sensitive, hitting the bottom. I can't really go into the middle because anytime I touch those seams, I get loose. So I just kind of stuck on the bottom here.
All right, Kevin, thanks for talking with us. Good luck.
And explain what he's talking about, leaving the gas out.
Well, they only have 20 laps to go when he made that pit stop, and so the thing to do is only put 20 laps of fuel in there. You don't want to put any more than you need because that's just more weight swinging around the back end of the car, making it loose. And this is a great move, and a lot of guys now, I mean, you got to calculate that stuff right down to the wire. And as long as he's got enough to make it to the end, he'll be fine.
And remember, he is from Bakersfield and has never won at his home racetrack. Let's check in the Kyle Busch pits. Jamie.
Well, Kyle Busch's crew came over the radio and apologized for losing him a spot, and this is Kyle's reaction.
Sorry about that, man.
They have lost one of the battles, but we ain't lost the war yet.
No, I know that. I know that.
They're keeping their heads in the game, Doc, and we may have a battle on our hands here in the closing laps.
Should be interesting to see what's going to happen. And, folks, the rule this year is a single file restart in the final 20 laps. It used to be in the final 10 laps, but now they'll line up single file, which means that Carl will have a lot of open racetrack there and no lap cars on the inside to be able to help hold that 18 off.
Hey, you know, generally that's the double file doesn't bother the leader as much as it does those guys in second, third, fourth, and fifth. So that's going to give Kevin Harvick and Jeff Burton, Joey Logano, those guys, they don't have to deal with those lap cars as they get down in, so they can run where they want to. So this could get pretty interesting, especially if Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards can get side by side. Then that brings a lot of other guys into the mix. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, Carl's going to need to make the back of his car real wide right here because that 18 car has been very strong on these early laps.
He's going to be getting down into turn one. That's where Kyle's been so good when he's been out front, is able to really go through the middle of turn one and carry a lot of speed off of turn two and down that backstretch, and he gets himself a gap right from the very beginning. So let's see if Carl can hold him off.
Now, the other thing is, I'm not sure Kyle Busch has shown us everything he's got. He's had this thing well in hand all day.
Yeah,
I'll guarantee you we're going to see what he's got now.
He's got more left. Yeah.
They've called off the restart here because there was some debris on the racetrack they got to pick up. Let's check in on the Carl Edwards situation. Shannon.
Well, I got to ask Dale, do you believe in good luck charms?
Oh, if it's going to benefit me, yeah.
Well, earlier in the race, a little good luck charm for the 60. Drew Blickensterfer, of course, Carl Edwards' old crew chief here on the Nationwide side, and oh yeah, the guy who led Matt Kenseth to win the Daytona 500 last week. He was down here in the pit box. I got Jason. All the guys in the Roush Fenway camp are definitely looking to Drew for a little bit of luck here today.
Yeah, use whatever you got, anything you can bring up, whether it's luck, smart guys, bring them all in there, whatever they can do.
Everything Drew touches, I'm going to take him to Vegas next week.
Hey, man, that guy's on top of the world right now. He's really doing a great job, and that was a great win for he and Matt Kenseth last week. Really happy for Matt.
And for Jack Roush, first ever win in the Daytona 500. 17 laps to go, folks. It's been Kyle Busch's night. There's Jack Roush. His car has dominated the Stater Brothers 300.
Yeah, it looks like he's still beaming from the Daytona 500 victory.
He's not even thinking about it. He's thinking about how to win this race right now.
Right.
You know, he's just such a competitor, and he goes from he puts that behind him, and as great as that was, this is a nationwide race, and he's just as intense about winning it as what he was the Daytona 500.
Remember what happened in the final laps a week ago at Daytona. The great finish. They were 3 wide and pushing and shoving in the final laps. Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart. Carl Edwards got there in second. Clint Boyer in the 29 car. Got some of the same cars involved. Can we get the same kind of finish?
We're going to find out right here.
All right, let's see what Carl can do. Can cousin Carl hold off the kid, Kyle Busch, who's been so stout all night long?
Kyle Busch has to be a little bit careful here. If he goes to make a move and it doesn't exactly work, he could lose a spot. And here goes Kevin Harvick trying to go to the inside. Kyle's going to take that spot, though. If he can get that run.
Oh, he gets into
Carl. Here we go. This is what we were talking about.
Here comes Harvick on the inside.
Harvick down but low, gets a little drafting help from Logano. There comes Jeff Burton. Here goes Kevin Harvick for the lead in turn 3.
He's got it right now.
Yeah, but Kyle's going to carry a lot of speed off of this corner.
Well, you can see right there, Kyle Busch just floated that car right in the corner. Let Harvick get down in there and then just use that exit speed.
Look at all the spots that Carl Edwards lost after that little bit of a tap from Kyle Busch.
Here comes Logano now in third spot.
David Reagan up very high on the outside back there trying to go by Carl Edwards, his teammate.
You see Jeff Burton in the 4th spot there. That car's sideways off the corner.
Look at Reagan all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack underneath Burton.
Yeah, and that cost Jeff Burton coming off of there. David Reagan got a run and took that 4th spot from him.
I gotta think Carl Edwards not happy about the way Kyle Busch made that pass on him.
Probably not. I'm doubting Kyle Busch is worried too much about that, huh?
Unless we get a caution flag and Carl can catch it.
You know, here, let's look back there in 3rd. We were talking about Joey Logano earlier. Hey, he hadn't been that impressive. There he is. He's taking his car and got up to 3rd spot. That's pretty impressive to me.
It is very impressive, but I think he had some damage. We finally saw that where they fixed that nose. And after they fixed that nose, it's been a lot better for Joey.
Yeah, battling a car has been pushing most of the night.
I don't know that he's going to win the race. I don't think that. As you see David Reagan trying to make a run on that high side. Kyle Busch is about a tenth and a half better than what these guys are right behind. Shannon, how about Joey Logano?
Well, they took a big whack at that car on that last pit stop. They changed pretty much everything. Wedge, track bar, air pressure, really took a big shot at it. And right now, Joey Logano, 3rd place for this young man. What a great run tonight.
You can see him go back to the high side once again. That's where he really started to pick up some speed on that last run. He's able to hold off David Reagan right there off the turn 2.
David Reagan's career best finish in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, 3rd at Memphis in this race car that they put a new body on last year. There comes his teammate Carl Edwards digging on the bottom of the racetrack.
He's going to try to get around both these guys, but they carry a lot of speed off the corner by being able to carry more speed through the center and get back to the throttle. You see Carl lost a little bit of ground to them there.
Kyle Busch the leader, then Harvick in 2nd. Logano, there comes Logano, Reagan and Edwards. Burton back in 6th, Ruderman 7th, Vickers 8th, Gahn and Stephen Wallace in 9th and 10th.
Yeah, nice run for Rusty Wallace Racing there. Those guys both in the top 10.
See, we got to give a lot of credit too to Kevin Harvick's team. That they're peaking at the right time here.
Yeah.
Our in-race reporter's doing a great job. This is 11th spot being battled out on the racetrack.
Greg Biffle, by the way, checked over and released at the infield care center after having that contact with the wall. He's okay.
Jason Leffler, this is a great job by Jason Leffler. He's in the 11th spot right now, trying to hold off Scott Lagacy, but Jason was in that accident where Brad Keselowski was turned. We see the 2 teammates here battling. This is for the 4th spot. Jason Leffler had a lot of damage to the right front of that 38 car, but has done a nice job of coming back.
Carl Edwards knows that in a season-long chase for the championship, every single position is going to be meaningful, particularly when he's going to have to chase that 18 car quite a few days.
He's got 10 laps to go here, and he's still looking at. He sees Joe Logano right here. He's going to make a move on him, and then he's got Kevin Harvick before he finally get maybe a look at Kyle Busch, who just destroyed this field tonight.
Yeah, and Carl, that little tap kind of broke his momentum and then allowed about 4 or 5 guys to go by him on the inside before he could get back in line. And so he just lost a lot of time. He may have enough time here to get back to second. You see him try to take that 3rd spot from Logano and Kevin Harvick just in front. So he may be able to get back to 2nd. And if we'd have a caution, Andy, as you said, anything could happen from that point.
That's the thing. If he gets to 2nd spot, the last thing Kyle Busch is going to want to see is a green white checker.
What's our buddy Alan Beckford said? It ain't over.
Ain't over till it's over.
Till it's over. That's right.
And Carl Edwards still digging.
Carl Edwards using 7 lanes of the racetrack, all at the top of the track, all the way to the bottom in the turns.
He's doing everything that he can to try to get by Joey Logano, but Joey's doing a nice job up on that high side of really keeping his the momentum up with his car and getting a good run off the corner. You can see he's closing in on Kevin Harvick a little bit.
Inside of 10 laps to go, Kyle Busch trying to hold on. Here's the battle side by side. 3rd position, Logano, and again right in front of Carl Edwards.
That high lane seems to work a little bit better in 1 and 2 than what it does in 3 and 4. He holds his own in 3 and 4 most of the time, but it really seems to work really good right here. As he gets down into turn 1, then he can really get back to the throttle and get off of this corner.
And you can see how Carl Edwards can get through the middle of the corner pretty good, but this momentum off the corner really pays off for that high line.
got to remember, Kevin Harvick's pretty hungry. He's never wanted his own race car. Kevin Harvick Incorporated car, never wanted his home racetrack in Bakersfield, California.
He's doing everything he can. He had that left front down just below the white line there, trying to get as much grip as he could. Here's Carl Edwards trying to take over that third spot.
David Ragan saying, you find an opening and I'll follow you through. Here he goes.
Carl really getting down into the corner, taking the shorter way around. Joey Logano really gets that Toyota wound up, though, and as we get down the straightaway, Carl will have to fall back in line. Kyle Busch has jumped out to a 1 second lead over Kevin Harvick again. See him just up in front. He's not as far away, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do as we come to have 6 laps to go.
Harvick in the big battle here. Edwards look to the high side, falls back in line. So he's got his teammate behind him. You can't totally discount the fact that David Ragan, he wants that spot too.
It's got to be frustrating for these guys to be able to see that lead and not be able to get any closer. It's like, see Kevin Harvick right here. He's looking right at the back of that car and saying, if I could just get another 1/10 of a second, I'd have him.
Yeah, if he'd just slip a little bit, he said I could get to his bumper.
History being made tonight at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. There are the laps led today. Kyle Busch, 95 of 100 laps in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Now, those are the laps he's led thus far. No one has ever won 2 National Touring Series races in the same day in NASCAR's 61-year history. They've never won all 3 events in the same weekend in a NASCAR race. And Kyle Busch trying to get one record and go for the other one here on Sunday.
He just totally dominated both of these races today.
And you see him still driving that thing down into the corner. The back end's just hung out. He's just driving this thing. I mean, the car's good. It obviously handles better than everybody else. Doesn't wear the tires. But, man, he really drives it hard. See him just slide the car into the corner as he goes down into turn 1.
That's Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief there on top of the box. First time back in a while, and I'm sure he's looking forward to going down here and celebrating this win. 4 laps to go for this 18 car.
A year ago, Kyle Busch had a record-tying 10 victory season, tying the all-time great Sam R. He only ran 30 of the 35 races. Had he run the other 5 and had the same average finish, he would have won the series championship by 17 points.
Probably entered into his decision to run the full season this year, knowing just how good this team is, that he'd have a great shot at this championship.
See Kevin Harvick here still in second. He's still battling. He's driving his car hard. And then Joey Logano there in third. He's pulled away from Carl Edwards and David Ragan by a little bit.
Kevin Harvick's team made some great decisions, made a great pit stop after having some fairly slow stops in the middle part of the race that got them behind, but they peaked at the right time. They made a good pit stop, and they made the right adjustment here. He's going to have a hard time holding off Joey Logano, though. He's got that high line working.
Man, that Toyota gets it down the straightaway whenever he gets that run off the corner from that high side. You really have to admire Joey Logano for what he's done, because he was struggling with his race car, but he moved around the racetrack and found a lane that worked for him with what his race car was, and he's done just a terrific job. And to see that out of an 18-year-old tells you that he has a really good feel for his race car and what he needs to do.
You can tell Carl Edwards driving his car as hard as it'll go. You see sparks flying out of it getting in the corner.
Lap and a half away for Kyle Busch. There he comes.
See Kevin Harvick now. He's looking. It's like a Daytona-style block. I'm not sure that Joey Logano didn't kind of fake him up.
Well, I think he was actually drafting on him there to pull up to him as much as he could to carry that speed in there and possibly even get Kevin a little bit loose getting to the corner. He knows that Kevin's running that bottom. You can see Kevin's car a little bit tight getting all the way to the wall right there.
Flags. White flag is out. We're going to have a great race for second.
Great battle for second position here, but here comes Kyle Busch, 23 years of age from Las Vegas, Nevada. Impressive a year ago, winning 21 races across 3 major touring series. But no one in NASCAR history has ever done what this young man is about to do here tonight. win twice in a single day. Coming out of the turn, Kyle Busch will do it. Winning twice in one day, Kyle Busch makes NASCAR history.
Good job, boys.
Like Harvick held off
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, he said they're awesome, and they're probably saying the same thing about their driver there.
Oh, yeah.
Sweep.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. He's the only man who can talk about winning them all. You know, just think back to Daytona a week ago, how close he came to winning the races down there. It didn't work out that way for him, but he's off to another great start.
Awesome. Yeah.
It might work out for him this week.
Yeah, I'd say there's a good chance.
His 22nd career victory in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Jason Ratcliffe, welcome back to the racetrack.
Said Andy, Kevin Harvick did manage to finish second in his car. It's got to be very encouraging for Kevin to do that, knowing he's getting closer to winning.
Let's go down and visit with the winning crew chief, Shannon.
Doc, Jason Ratcliffe's first race back in 6 months, and your welcome back party is going to be in Victory Lane. What a great race. What's the most meaningful part of this?
Well, believe it or not, I've dreamed about this day for about 6 months now. So the guys threw me a welcome back party the other night over at Kyle's Motorhome. That was awesome. And to come out here and win this one the first time back, I'm just really happy to be back with these guys. It's such an honor to work with them, work with Kyle. Everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing just continues to work hard. Z-Line Toyota, strong again.
All right, Jason Ratcliffe, go to Victory Lane with your guys. Doc?
History being made here in Fontana, California, Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Kyle Busch becomes the first driver in NASCAR history to win 2 major Touring Series races in the same day. Can he make another page in history by pulling off the Cup Series victory here on Sunday? That's never been done either, winning all 3 in the same weekend. His 22nd victory ties him with legends like Sam Ard, Tommy Ellis, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 7th all-time in the series win list.
A fairly short amount of time. He's going to break a lot of records in this series and the Cup Series in the years to come.
Officially, that young man right there has led 238 laps here today.
Pretty good day. Yeah. For the fans that were here for both of the races, they saw a lot of talent driving a race car around this racetrack. As we said earlier, this is a very, very difficult racetrack, and I think that speaks volumes for Kyle Busch's talent.
Well, a pretty good day for Carl Edwards. His top 5 finishes now 11 in a row. Pretty good streak. Dave.
Yeah, and it looked like it was going to be better than that, Doc. Carl, you were the leader with 16 to go. Walk us through the restart.
I've been having a little bit of trouble on restarts the whole night, but you know, that's just racing. I mean, it looked like I couldn't see behind me, but felt like we were just racing real hard. I think I might have got touched a little bit, but I mean, hey, it's going for the win, and that's what the fans pay for. So definitely disappointed we didn't have a better run at it. This Scott Save-A-Lot Fusion did a good job all night. We made it back up there, made adjustments. The guys did a good job, but man, you know, Kyle was just in a league of his own tonight. So just glad to be able to hang with him for most of it.
It seems, and we're going to go over to Vince Welch, who is with the guy who finished right in front of him.
Yep.
Vince?
Kevin Harvick, when you talk about big picture, this guy had it tonight. Worked through some pit stops. Your crew delivered when it had the opportunity on that last stop to get you going. How close are you to getting that win?
Well, we're right where we need to be. I mean, we're competitive week in and week out. Just got to thank all the guys on this Ream Chevrolet, everybody from Jimmy John's and all the people that help us with this car. But they did a pit stop when it counted there. I had a little bit of trouble in the first couple, but in the end, they did the one that counted. So that makes me proud to have them deliver in the end.
Kevin Harvick, runner-up tonight to Kyle Busch. Doc?
Third time that Kevin Harvick has finished second here at this racetrack, at his home track. He's finished second 3 times, third 3 times. He's been on the pole and come so close. Let's go down to Victory Lane, where Kyle Busch is ready to climb out of that awfully tough Toyota.
Busch taking off his helmet, getting the hat on. Second trip to victory lane today. It's still sticky where we're standing from earlier. Kyle Busch's first Nationwide Series victory of 2009. Gets the shower from his team. And they are soaked. They're having a great time. Everybody's celebrating, of course, Jason Ratcliffe being back. Kyle, Jason Ratcliffe back on the pit box, your all-star team here. What does it mean to you to have them back?
It's awesome, you know, just want to thank Z-Lines Designs, Jim Sexton, he was here tonight, and Toyota, the fans, NOS Energy Drink, all the guys that make it possible, Interstate Batteries, Norm Miller, and, you know, this is just a blast, and this, to run like that here, you know, and to beat guys like Carl and Kevin and that, you know, it's pretty special, and to win here twice in one day, that's even more special, and, you know, I wouldn't be able to do it without all these guys, everybody at the Joe Gibbs Racing, Nationwide side, Cup side, everybody. I love driving for Joe Gibbs. He's awesome. And JD, he's great too. So I guess you can't ever fault anybody or, you know, have any faults when you're sitting here in victory lane. So, I mean, that thing was just flawless and can't thank him enough. And it was great to have Jason back. You know, that really means a lot to us. And we just get through practice quicker. You know, before we would have to text him or call him or whatever and get changes made. But, you know, now we can just buzz right through practice, and like last night, we only used 15 minutes of the second one, so we were pretty cool.
Of course, everybody talking about the record, winning 2 in one day. Kyle, you're going to get asked a lot. Can you make it a trifecta tomorrow?
I don't know. We're certainly going to try. You know, that Interstate Batteries Camry on that side was decent. Wasn't the best today, but, you know, I'm sure Steve's thinking about it, and call him after this race, see what I learned, and talk to him a little bit, see if we can't figure something out to make it a little bit better for tomorrow.
Well, I think this is just the beginning of a lot of victory lanes for Kyle Busch this season. Alan?
All right, Jamie, Kyle Busch, the star of the show in Southern California tonight, and the show is coming to these towns as the NASCAR Nationwide Series moves throughout the early part of its 2009 schedule. Vegas next week, and then it's on to Bristol, Tennessee, Fort Worth, Texas, Nashville, Phoenix, all that upcoming. Of course, next week it is Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Our coverage starting on Saturday at 4 Eastern Time with NASCAR Countdown. The spectacular finishes there the last couple seasons, and of course, Vegas is Kyle Busch's hometown. That's a trophy he'd like.